Hello and welcome back to another episode of Talking with Tanya. First of all, I'd like to start off with an announcement. As always, I'm looking for an unpaid intern to help me grow Talking with Tanya. I want to be really clear about what I'm looking for because I don't want just anyone. I want the right person. You don't need experience. I'm not looking for a professional. There's someone who's like really passionate about content creation, self-growth, philosophy, worldview expansion, just like bettering yourself, different perspectives, and just someone who genuinely just loves to grow, and who's curious about how content community get built from the ground up. The role would involve helping me with things like social media, what is it called, like making clips of my podcast episodes. So you probably have to go back to like older episodes and make clips out of them just to try and find like the best parts or what you think would be the best parts of the episode and upload them. It's very hands-on, it's very real. You'd be learning by doing. You'd be working close with me. But I also want someone who's reliable and self-motivated, who has like the drive to get things done. I'm not looking to micromanage. I'm looking to collaborate with people. And it feels exciting. The idea of growing with someone it feels exciting. So I want someone who's just as excited. And to be honest, this might not be like the best fit if you're looking for something super structured, corporate, or step-by-step right away. It's more fluid, intuitive, and collaborative. If this sounds like you can fill out the application form I have in the description below. I'm really excited to find someone who feels aligned and wants to grow together. Anyways, now moving on to life updates. So I like to start off episodes as well with like recent insights I've made. And like, for example, even just today, I feel like I was kind of having, I don't want to say a bad day. It wasn't bad. Mm-hmm. Like, I just, like, there's moments in time I've noticed will I really just take time to myself and be more reserved and more introspective. And there's other days where I'm, like, super upbeat, laughing, joking with people, and just love talking and communicating with others and building relationships. But today was just one of those days where I was just really reserved into myself because I was doing a reading, right? And I love doing readings because it makes me so self-aware of the things that I'm unconscious of. And one thing that I noticed was, that I didn't notice actually, that it brought to my awareness was that I don't value myself as much as I should. It was saying that, it was asking me a deep question. It was saying if I didn't get any views on my podcast, if it didn't grow, if I couldn't find love, if I couldn't find like fulfillment basically in all areas of life, do I still see the value of myself? Basically saying, if I can't find the external validation to prove the value of myself, would I still see the value of myself? And that question hit me hard. So I was just sitting with it, and it made me realize, like, you know what, I need to start thinking this way. I should value myself. I do see value in myself. But the problem with it is, now that I do see the value, what do I do with that? Like, now I want to make my external environment reflect that. So I'm in the process of believing that. But once I'm there, I was questioning, how do I make my external environment reflect that? So that's what was hitting hard. And I'm like, does the possibility exist to where I'll never get that validation? And if it does, like, am I okay with that? And that was depressing me. I'm not gonna lie, that was hard.
What's an intense thought? Like, yeah. It reminds me of, there was this, I forget if it was a movie or a TV show, but I just remember the guy was basically like, who are you, right? Mm-hmm. To like another man, like, who are you? Like, what makes you you? Or what gives you value? That's how the guy took it. And he was like, oh, I fucking, whatever. I invest in the stock market. I have this car, this house, this, all that. And then he goes, okay, who are you without all of that? Oof. And it was like, because those are your possessions. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
And the guy didn't know what to tell him.
Wow. And that's the thing. It's like, how do you find yourself? Like, how do you decide who you are?
It's trippy because, like, I thought about trying to answer that question. Mm-hmm. And in my head, it just popped up. I was like, I'm somebody who cares.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. It's like a general thing. I tend to want to look out for people. Yeah, I just feel like in general, more than average, like I'm above average. as far as like my interest is above average in people. I feel like it's easy for me to kind of get invested in people. And
which is cool that you say that, because we saw that in your chart literally today.
Yeah. And to just be interested in people, you know, like I guess I want to see more people win. But that's what I would say. And I feel like when I was thinking about it, I don't know if it's the best answer or what. I'm still like dwelling on this, but it kind of made me think of like, when you answer that question, if you take away all of your physical attributes, because you could say, oh, I'm handsome, or I'm this, or I'm that, right? But one day you're going to be an old man. You're not going to be, you know,
so you shouldn't
viable.
let those define you.
You're not going to be handsome anymore. You might even go bald, like, you know?
Yeah.
And so it made me think that, like, it all goes down to, like, the kind of people you choose to be, ultimately, right? Like, if you're somebody that can teach people, somebody that cares about people, you know, like, you have, like, just, like, pay it forward energy, you know? Then in that sense, I feel like that's probably one of, like, what people should also focus on in addition to, like, the tangible things in their life. Yeah, I just feel like that all matters, you know?
And an interesting question I like to ask, so sometimes I have like friends or new acquaintances that want to like hang out and chill, and I tell them about my podcast. Sometimes I'll reach the point where like, you down to be on? Like, you want to be a guest? And then they always ask, okay, but what would we talk about? And the first question I always ask, I'm like, okay, so what do you value? Like, what is your life philosophy, your perspective on things? Like, that's something like we could start, you know, that's where we could start. I want to know who you are. So I think like, if I were to ask myself that, like, what do I value? It'd be like community, friendships, family, self-growth. I guess that's it. I don't know what else. At least I can't think about it on the spot. But I do just, I think those alone are a lot. And I feel like it does encompass a lot of me. So,
yeah.
So I think it's a good question to start, to ask yourself if you're curious. But yeah, I guess that's to wrap up my insights. That's something I've been thinking about lately. And I should probably bring up why we're in your car. This is Gonzo's car, by the way. We're not in our usual spot. So it's been raining, so we can't really be in the picnic table today, and it's all wet.
It is waterlogged.
Yeah, but I love the comfort of being in here. Like, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
I even got my little unicorn socks on. It's chill, man. It's chill. But moving on to what this episode's gonna be about. So I wanted to make this episode centered around our childhood. So we're gonna be sharing childhood stories, our childhood, our parents, stories about our parents, and then family dynamics. You know, how, because we both are people, I would describe us as very family oriented, and not just within our own families, like chosen family. So that's something we'll be like diving into. But so I guess we could just start it off with our childhood stories. Do you want me to go first? Or you want to go first? I'm not gonna lie, they're a little heavy.
So
they're a little heavy. I'm a little nervous myself to kind of express these stories.
I guess I could start with a fun one. I could start with my most fun one. The one
Is it the one we had planned?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you start us off then. All right, go ahead.
All right. So I'll give a little backstory. But I had a buddy in the 6th grade. I went to a middle school over in Granada Hills. And I remember one day he came in with like frosted tips, like he just had a style choice, right? And back then, you know, kids are really reactive when you're like that age, like middle school, like anything could be funny or anything that's different could be a reason why you're like, you know. And I just remember he came to class and like a bunch of people were like very reactive about it. Some were even verbally like loud enough for him to hear it. And I just remember he started crying at one point in class.
Isn't that interesting? Like, being different is such a topic of discussion for kids. I wonder why that is.
I remember thinking even back then, like, even if you don't like his hairstyle, like,
who cares?
Why is everybody acting like he's an asshole now? You know what I mean? Like, that's what it felt like.
Wow.
It felt like, look at this guy, you know? And it was like, wait, it's his hair, you know? Like, but I just remember he was kind of bummed out. And then one day he did something. And in hindsight, I kind of think that maybe it was his way of regaining social status. But apparently his dad was an avid collector of Hustler and Playboy. and probably some other names. And I just remember...
Wait, how old were you?
I was 11.
He was
probably 11 or 12, yeah.
Okay.
I think I was one of the younger people in my class.
Oh, okay.
I remember having classmates that were 12.
Yeah.
And I just remember one day he told us, he's like, my dad has all kinds of like magazines and all this other stuff. And of course, when you're like 11, you're like, what? Right? And he's like, yeah, dude, it shows everything, front, back, bottom, all that. And we were like, yo. And then I remember he was like, and some of them have no hair. And I was like, huh? And like, we were all just tripping, right? Like,
That's
what?
crazy.
And then I remember somebody's like, you're full of shit or whatever, right? They're like, nah. And then he was like, I'll bring him to school. And they're like, no, you won't. He goes, yeah. And he goes, matter of fact, he's like, I'll bring him, we'll ditch, and we'll just read them all day. Like, we'll just ditch and just enjoy them.
What do you mean read? Look at them.
Like, yeah. And I just remember he was like, yeah, and you're not down. Like, he flipped it on the kid.
Oh, wow.
And then the problem being is that we planned it like a whole day later. And then so like finally the next day came, we see him at one of our classes and he shows us, he opens the backpack, and I just remember my heart started beating. Like I got high blood pressure in that moment. I saw the biggest pair of tits I'd ever seen in my life on the cover. And I just remember I felt excited, naughty, and bad, everything at once. Like I just felt like, oh, I've seen something I shouldn't have, you know? And then I just remember like counting the seconds of class being over, because we were gonna like I think it was the first break.
Yeah.
Like I guess it would be we called it break at that point, but that's when we were gonna ditch. And so the idea was we were all gonna link up at a certain building of the school, and then during break we were gonna hop the fence and like one of the gates to the school that was near like the blacktop and like where they would run the mile. And so he showed us in like one of the early, like I think homeroom. I think I had him for my homeroom. So he showed us in homeroom or like the second period, and then whatever, we had our break. And I guess that was enough time for somebody to say something, because like to this day I know somebody said something.
So it had to be one of the people he told, like confided in about these magazines. That was messed up.
See, what sucks is because I think he was trying to gain social favor with it, he told like anybody. He didn't just tell people that he kind of knew.
Oh.
You know
what do you
saying?
think it was the motivation of the kid who told? It was like, nah, you ain't better than us.
I don't know.
Because like, why do you care enough to tell, you know?
Not just that. Don't you want to see some titties? Like, what, like...
You don't think it was a girl? What if it was a kid?
Who would have told a girl?
What if it was a boy who told the girl, like, oh, yeah, we're going to go just to show off.
Then
we're
he's
gonna
a
sneak
Muppet.
Out. And the girl's like, ew, or something.
Ew. I don't know, man. I just wish people could just mind their business, bro.
Me too, bro.
Like, I'm not forcing it down your throat. Let me live. It just...
Anyways, what happened?
So, yeah, finally we all get together, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember everybody started digging in his backpack while it was on his back. And he's like, hey, wait till we get out of school, you know? Like, because they're going to just pull him out and start reading him. Mm-hmm. And then we're getting to the gate. And I look around and I'm like, ain't that something? We're going to get away with this. Like, I remember thinking, like, wow, nobody's around. And then the guy's like, all right. Like, I remember he made a joke. He was like, don't be a bitch now. Like, everybody, he was like... And then we started climbing the fence. And I remember I was closer to the right side of the fence, like where the gate was. And I was by like some bushes. And I remember the moment I got up like 2 or 3 feet, I just heard, stop right there. And it was like 2 of like the people that monitor the property.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, ain't no way. And I let go of the gate. And when I felt like in a squat pose, like behind a bush. And I just ran alongside the fence and got behind the building. But I was gone.
Wait, so you hopped the gate?
No, I had gotten up a bit, and then I just dropped when I heard them say it, and then I took off.
So how'd you get away?
Because I was next to the fence with bushes and stuff.
They didn't go looking for you?
So the way it was is they had like a wide road, and they had some buildings on this side that went almost up to the gate, maybe like 20 yards tops away from the gate. And then this side was just like where we ran the mile. It was just like a huge field. So it was like this big road that came, and then the gymnasium and all the other stuff was over there. So we had cut through one of the buildings and we were going to the gate. And so I was like on this side where the bushes were. And then I just took the clearing and went to like another building. And it sucks too, because like the kid who brought it, he made it over. I think it was only him and one other kid that made it over.
Wow.
So he lands or whatever, and then they're like, don't you move. And then it's like the kid has his hair dyed, so there's no mistaking him.
Damn, that's tough.
And so I remember he's looking at them, they're seeing his face.
I didn't even think about that part.
And he just sits there and so what happened was once I hit a building, I made sure that they weren't going around, and then I went to look back to see like what was happening from like, I don't know, 35, 40 yards. And I just see him like defeated, just holding his backpack like this, and then them being like, you wait right there. And they were like opening the gate from the lock, and like they were gonna like bring him in.
Wow.
And some of the other kids had already taken off too. But it was just like him and like 2 kids that got caught. One on the inside of the fence, and then the 2 that were outside. And I just remember he
And they didn't rat you out?
No, which is cool. Which is cool.
They real for that.
Oh my God, you just reminded me of something.
What?
Okay, I'm gonna tell another story now.
Okay.
You just reminded me of something crazy, and I'm glad I haven't mentioned the school I went to. If you figured it out, keep it to yourself.
Okay, you tell that next story after my last story. Yeah.
But wait, so what was I saying right now?
They got caught and you're watching from like 45
Yeah, so I'm watching, and he just starts crying, dude. He's just like holding his backpack, and like he was like a quiet crier, like he would just cry and breathe. And then I just remember the like assistant or whatever like grabbed his shoulder and was like walking him back. And then at that point they were getting close, and I took off. I didn't see like if he talked to him or what. But
where'd you go? Like back to class?
It never got back.
Wait,
to
was
me.
it what time of day was it? Like during like a break?
It was like
lunch?
break. It felt like before lunch.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was like our first break. Probably after like the second period or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember I was like, oh my God, like my heart was racing. And like, and I just remember thinking like that was close. Like I felt like I almost got caught like doing something illegal, or I mean, I guess technically it's illegal, but like breaking the law, you know what I mean? Like doing something heinous. And that sucks, bro, because that didn't help him at all. Like him having gotten caught and almost gotten some other kids in trouble. People were just like, stay away from him, you know, like.
Dang, that sucks.
But I have faith that he recovered socially. He was a cool kid. He was a nice guy. I don't know, because I only went to that school for that year.
Oh wow!
And thank God. But
what's so interesting about hearing your stories is that it's like he's so opposite from like the way I grew up. You're so like brave and courageous, and like his stories are crazy, and then mine are more so like I feel like of embarrassment, of isolation, of just.
No,
like,
I have a lot of
being
those.
quiet.
Those are just starting as
really?
entertaining. Oh, I have some sad stories.
No, but I feel like a lot of your stories are also involve being brave and courageous and just like outlandish things.
Well, you know what John says, right?
Uh-huh.
John taught me that saying. It's somebody else is the one who originated it, I guess. But he would love always saying this. There's a fine line between bravery and stupidity. And he would say,
because you wouldn't think you're brave.
And he would say, and Andres, you like to hop back and forth. He would tell me like, I was like,
that's funny. 'Twas foretold.
As it is written.
Okay, so I guess I should, start with mine.
Yeah.
So this one's funny. I was in 3rd grade, and I used to hate school, like with a passion. I used to hate it. And I remember, and I don't know what's up with teachers, but I felt like teachers always had it out against me for some reason. And I just remember, like, I just told myself, I don't want to be at school, right? But I was finally given the opportunity to miss, because I have half-sisters who came to visit, and both my parents worked. And only one of my sisters actually came to visit. And she was just like super chill, laid back. She was a little crazy, but she was super chill. And she said, you know what? Like, if you don't want to go to school, that's fine. I don't care. It's like, word? I'll take you up on that offer.
That would be a crazy notion if you were in high school.
I was in
Even in middle school, it'd be like,
I
what
was
do
8
you
years old.
mean?
And
A baby.
And my sister, who's 2 years above me, she took her up on it too. And we would just like miss every day. And then eventually enough time had passed to where it was like 2 weeks, and my sister was like, I gotta go back to school. We getting bad. And I was like, all right, see you later. I ain't going back. I'll stay another week. And I remember we were they wanted to ride bikes one day, and I remember we had like it's a small neighborhood, so I was like, I don't want to run into anybody who I know, from school. They're gonna ask questions and I don't have the answers other than I'm bad. So I remember they convinced me to go, you'll be fine, and that's one thing I hated. There's been times where I've spoke like possibilities of things happening, they not believing me, and then it ends up happening anyways. Pisses me off, bro. So they're like, you'll be fine. I was like, Okay, we ride down the block. What do you know? Ran into some people from school. Oh, I called it. And they asked me, oh, hey, Tanya, like, why haven't you been to school? And I was just like, I think I said, you mind your business. Don't worry about it. Because I honestly didn't have an answer. You know, I was afraid, like, it would get back to me. Or, like, my parents, like, oh, she just doesn't care about being at school. So then, finally, after week 3, honestly, which is crazy, because I didn't have a plan until when I was going to go back. It got to the point where my parents finally got involved. Like, both my mom and my dad showed up one day while I was home. And I was so scared. I was freaking out. Like, my heart was racing. I thought I was going to die. Like, literally, I was deathly afraid of my parents. I'm not even joking. And they said, what's this I hear about you not being at school for 3 weeks? What the heck is going on? And my sister quickly went with, oh, I was sick. I was sick. And I was like, damn, I'm just going to copy her. I was sick, too. She's like, And she was like, I think because it makes sense if it was just one of us, not both of us, you know?
Why not? I would have been like, we hang out all the time. We got sick.
For 3 weeks, bro.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
and that would explain
also
you being, you could have been like, that's why I took a week longer. She got me sick after. She was sick first.
Not just that, it's like our parents get home from work and we look perfectly fine, you know?
Yeah. That's crazy.
So she goes back to school. And then I finally go back to school. So my parents came and they said, you guys gotta go back to school. But it was weird because I went to school and then the next day my parents met with the school, like the office lady, right? But the first day I went, when I went back, my teacher was like giving me a flyer. She's like, oh, why have you missed? Like, she was pressing me. And I was like, oh, I was just sick. And she's like, okay, I want you to take this home. It was a paper and it had to explain why I was missing and have like signature from my parents. So I was like, okay. So I go home and I tell my sister about it. And I'm like, hey, I gotta return this. Like, can you sign this for me? And she's like messing around. She's like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna sign it. And I was like, okay, put it in my bag. She's like, no, never mind. I'm not trying to get caught up in this. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I have to take this paper back. Like, my teacher's scary. Like, she's gonna get mad. And she's like, no, heck no. She's like, I'm not your parent. I'm not gonna sign. I was like, what the heck? So then she crumbles it up and she throws it away. And then I was like, I'm just gonna sneakily grab this paper back, uncrumble it, and put it back in my bag. But she saw me do it. And then she grabbed the paper back from my hands and ripped it up in pieces and threw it away again. I was like, damn, man. So then I go back to school and my teacher goes, where's your sick note? And I was like, I lost it. And she's like, I don't believe you. And I was just like, man, like, why am I getting trouble for something I didn't do, bro? Like, I was just feeling so defeated. And because that lady was scary. It didn't end up mattering because my parents went to the school to talk to the office anyways. And on the way there was so scary. My heart was racing. And I remember my mom was explaining, like, why you guys miss so much school? What's going on? And she's like, if you were sick, why didn't you tell me? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this is like crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Even back then thinking, like, this is crazy. Like, why did I miss so much school?
I thought they're gonna put me up for adoption after this.
Yeah, but we got home and I thought she was gonna beat my ass. Like, I thought I was gonna get the ass beating my life. But surprisingly, I didn't. She just took our TV for like a week. No, it was like 2 weeks. And finally, my sister found the TV and she just put it back in the room. And I was like so scared my mom was going to see it and that she was going to take it from us again. And she didn't do anything.
She never checked? She never gave it back?
No, she saw the TV and she just didn't do anything about it. And I was like, what the heck? I don't know. The family dynamics growing up was so weird. But yeah, that's my story.
I can imagine how scared you were with the meeting.
Yeah,
One of my favorite memories I've ever had with my buddy William is he was having like a back to school night. Isn't that what it is, where you go to talk to like all the teachers? I remember this story, or something like that. And it was crazy because like I remember I was hanging out with him that day and he was just like kind of like out of it. And I'm like, what's up, man? And he goes, my mom's gonna meet with them today. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, your teachers. And I was like, well, like, how you doing, right? And he was just like, yeah. And then I was just like, huh? Like, what do you mean? And then before we could talk about it, his mom was like, okay, we're gonna go. You want to come with us, Andres? And then we went down there. And I was really good friends with his parents. And I just remember every teacher was like, I don't know how to talk to him. He just won't apply himself.
Wow.
This and like a bunch of stuff, right? And like, I guess he had kind of slacked off in a bunch of stuff. And every time his mom would be like, okay. And then she would look at him and she'd be like, what do you have to say? And he would just be like, like he had like the funniest smile. He'd be like, like a movie. And he would just be like, like nervously laugh.
Aww.
And I was like, oh my God, bro. I was like, because I could tell it was like a fear-based smile, but I was like, your smile might come off as like mocking. Like your mom might get mad because you're like, But I'll never forget that shit.
You know why that bothers me? Because I feel like a good teacher should know that a child's behavior is based on what's going on at home.
Yeah.
And now you're only making it worse for the kid by putting him on the spot like that.
Yeah, also, not that this was his issue, but like, you never know how people discipline their kids.
You don't.
Like, you think like, oh, I'm gonna get back at this kid. He's been rowdy in my class. I'm gonna tell his dad. And then for all you know, the kid misses a week of school because his dad gave him a shiner. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what you don't always know what you're. You know.
Okay, so on to the next story.
Yeah. All right. So I'm a little ashamed about this one, cause
But I like this one because it shows like your values. I don't know. You're like brave in this one, in my opinion. This is how I see it, at least.
Yeah. So looking back, with hindsight, I realized that I probably exercised an inappropriate amount of force. But I felt overwhelmed when it happened. Like, I just remember...
After the fact or during?
No, like, as it happened, I remember feeling like I need to do something. Like, I felt, like, overwhelmed. So what had happened was, I had known this girl in middle school. And she was this really nice and, like, soft-spoken, like, cute girl. And, if I remember correctly, I think she might have even liked me at some point or something like that. But I just wanted to be her friend. Like, I don't think I was really inclined to date anybody at that. I was 11 years old, you know? But, yeah, I just remember that, like, I remember her being pretty and really nice. And so, one day I saw her crying hysterically on one of the benches in the quad. And, I just remember getting like this crazy sensation of panic. Like, I remember thinking like, ooh, like this isn't normal, you know, like she's like crying really bad. And I walked up to her and I was like, what's going on? And she had like a friend with her, like consoling her, rubbing her back. And she was like stuttering, like she was crying so hard.
Wow.
And she was like doing that crying where she's like like that.
No way.
And so I felt like charged. Like, I remember thinking like, ooh, this isn't good.
When you told me a story, I didn't realize how bad it was.
No, she was like, and then like pink eyes and just like crying. And I remember thinking like, oh crap. And so she tells me like some kid had been like mean to her, and like I don't remember what his name was. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say names anyways, but it was like some nice guy. Like, I remember him being like a pretty boy. Like, I was like, I wouldn't expect him to be mean, you know? Like, and she was crying hysterically, and she was saying like, oh, he like said something crazy to me. And I remember being like, what did he say to you, you know? And so I guess she had said that she found him cute or something, but like not even anything too forward of like dating or anything. And that he had said something weird, like, and we're kids, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't think he even meant it in the way that it came off. But he said something along the lines of like, because of their differences, that their kids might look really weird and maybe even gross or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And like that threw her for a loop, you know?
Yeah.
Because it came off as like potentially racial at the time.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't think the kid was some hardcore bigot, you know? I just think that like, you don't know how to express yourself the best at that age. But like it like tanked her. And I just remember feeling like I need to find him. And like I was like really like overwhelmed by it. And so I just started running around the school looking for him until I found him.
Oh, wow.
And I remember being so pissed that when I found him, I just looked at him and pointed at him. I didn't even say anything.
Wow.
And I was walking up to him like really fast. And then again,
You just went.
I was just like, and then he looked at me and he was like, and then before he could say anything, I had my hand on his collar.
You think he knew what it was in reference to? He didn't realize how bad he hurt her?
I don't think so.
Oh, wow.
Again, I don't think he meant it in that way.
Yeah.
And I've said wild shit, you know, in middle school. But I just remember he was like surprised. Like his eyes got really wide and I was so overwhelmed. I just had the urge to like take him to her. Like I didn't even think of like beating him or anything. Like but because I was feeling so overwhelmed, I think I was a little too aggressive with him.
Yeah.
And so I just remember I like yanked him and he fell to his knees and then I like picked him up again by his collar. And I basically just like, forced him to follow me. And again, looking back, I don't, I feel pretty not good about it. But in the moment, I don't know. I was overwhelmed with emotions, you know, and empathy was not one of them. And so, or at least not for him. And so I remember I dragged him back to her and I basically like shoved him towards her. And I told him, like, apologize. And that's all I said. I just said, apologize. And then he was looking shocked and he, like, stuttered a bit. And then I think she was even shocked by it, too. I remember her being like, whoa, right? Like, that was the last thing she expected.
Yeah.
And
I can't imagine what your classmates were thinking.
Well, that's the crazy thing. I was so overwhelmed. Like, looking back on it, it's crazy. Like, I dragged him across school. Like, it wasn't like they were a building away from each other. I found him like way down by the field.
That's crazy.
So I dragged him like 100 yards to her at least.
Oh my gosh.
And or I pulled him towards her. And yeah, I remember she was like being very graceful about it. Like she was like, it's not that big of a deal. And she was like, and I was like, no. I was like, apologize. And then he apologized to her. And like it seemed like everything was fine or whatever, you know, but like I don't know, again, I felt super overwhelmed. Like I wasn't normally an aggressive kid like that, but in the moment I was just like, no, like I have to do something.
I just like there's certain core values I see within you that like trigger if they're like wronged, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think for you, like for him, is something a theme I noticed repetitively is like a protector of women. And that has to do with like your childhood and the things your mom has told you. So
yeah,
it's just like interesting to see how it plays out. I don't know. It's crazy to me.
It's weird because when I think about it, when I think back on it rationally, like nothing makes sense about it, about the way I went about it, because like I really cared about my social standing. And in that moment, I didn't care what I looked like.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like in that moment, I was just like, I need to fix this now. And then
how did you feel after the fact when it was over? Or like then coming back to school the next day?
It's funny because I don't remember anything specific about it. I mean, there's probably less kids that wanted to fuck with me after that, but like, I don't.
Interesting.
I just remember I felt a relief when he apologized to her.
You didn't get in trouble? Like he didn't tell on you? No?
I don't know how his mom never came to school because we had something else happen with that. And I probably shouldn't tell that story because that one was pretty, I just feel wrong about that one.
Yeah. Did you tell me that one?
The one involving the pen?
Okay, tell me later. I don't remember that one.
But yeah, I just remember I felt a huge relief when he apologized to her. And
interesting.
And if I remember correctly, she looked at me some type of way. Like I remember her looking at me like, wow.
What I think it's important to know is that you didn't like her. You weren't looking for anything from her.
Oh yeah, it wasn't like I tried to date her after or get a kiss or anything like that. I was just like
doing it because it was part of your belief.
To be honest with you, it probably came off weird because I don't think I spoke to her again for like another week or two.
Wow.
Like she wasn't in my like immediate circle.
Yeah.
I just like she was in one of my classes or a couple of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the moment,
wait, how old were
I just
you?
felt the pain. I was 11.
Dang, you're crazy.
I'm telling you, sometimes I feel like two different people. I'm not at all like that anymore.
Dang, that's crazy.
Or I think more before I act now. I'll say that. But
and I think that helped build her worth a little bit because those are like formative years and kind of help build your self-worth to where like, because I even remember a time when I was like rejected at a young age. Like I remember, because especially when you're a girl and you're young, even in elementary school, like they all pressure you like, who do you like? Who do you like? Who
likes you?
Yeah, and they just like wanted me so bad to be with somebody. And I was like, fine, this guy's all right.
He'll do.
So next thing you know, they're coming back up to me saying, oh, he doesn't like you back. Like, what? First of all, I didn't agree to anything. And then second of all,
I don't even want to play this game and I lose. You're like, what the hell?
Thank you. he had said something about like my face and his face don't go along together. And I just remember thinking like, what do you mean by that? You know? And I was like,
yeah.
Damn, like that. That's tough to hear, you know?
I think,
especially as a young girl.
maybe looking back on it, maybe somehow I understood in like subconsciously that she was going to associate that experience with her overall worth. And that's probably why it didn't sit with me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, dude, there are people that would kill to be with you. You know what I mean? Like, you have value. You have, like... And I really remember her being really pretty. Like, I remember being like, oh, you're, like substantially above average looking. But, yeah, like I said, I didn't really like girls at that time like that. But, yeah, they apologized. I felt better about it. And then I probably didn't speak to her for, like, another 2 weeks again.
Interesting.
So I ran into her again. But yeah, just looking back on it, I don't know. You know, I feel like I've gotten away with running my mouth before.
Yeah.
In different ways, same probably stuff. So sometimes I just feel a little guilty about it, you know, because it's like I've gotten away with shit, and I feel like he had to face that day, like pretty immediately, like probably within an hour or two of doing it.
I feel like it could have potentially changed him for the better too. Like you don't.
I would hope so.
Say stuff like that.
I would hope so. Also, we were about the same size. It's not like I towered over him. Like I didn't get tall until I was like 15.
Yeah.
But I would hope that he learned from it, you know, in a good way. And again, I apologize. I mean, if he ever happens to come across this video, for the way I went about it. Also, I would hope that he would remember how I was about it. I wasn't cruel about it. I could have slapped him around or done something like that, and I didn't. My point wasn't to beat him. I just wanted him to address it immediately.
Yeah.
I just wasn't so nice about the way I got him to get over there. But yeah, it wasn't like I was like, you know, beating him up.
That's crazy. All right, on to the next story. I was kind of hesitant about telling this one. This one, you know, it's kind of tender. I think I've integrated this one already. Like, I've accepted. Like, it doesn't bring out an emotional reaction for me anymore. But for a while, it did, you know?
Yeah.
So anyways, this is the bike story. I don't even remember how old I was, to be honest. I think I was in middle school. Anyways, my dad is a construction worker, and he would bring stuff from, like, people's houses all the time. All kinds of things. And I would say we were, like... I wouldn't call us poor because we had a roof and we had food, but like we didn't have what everybody else had, you know?
Yeah, there was a difference.
We just had the basics, I would say. So, but we were always tight on money. Like I remember my parents always arguing about money.
Jeez.
Yeah. So one time he had brought bikes from, I don't know, I guess one job, and it was like 2 or 3. And he had given one of them to me. I remember this one specific one being, oh, this one's yours. So I was okay. And I remember the brand, it was a Mongoose. And when I searched a Mongoose, like, that's a Walmart brand. That's not even nothing crazy. And it's a used bike, right? And some of the neighborhood kids that we kind of grew up with, they were... I feel like I was always trying to look impressionable. Like, look in a way that I'm cool, you know, I belong. And, like, I want to, you know, be friends, I guess. So yeah. I always cared about, like, how I was perceived to these people. And I always felt like my sister, she was always, like, cooler in their eyes. So I was just kind of trying to always measure up to that. I don't know, maybe because she was older, maybe. I don't know. But I remember the bike that I got, I never used it. I barely rode bikes as it was, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think that there was even something, like, weird about it, too. Like, I rode it once or twice. I was like,
you weren't feeling it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not my style. It's not, like, comfortable. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember not using the bike. And it was just sitting there for weeks, maybe months, for all I know. And I remember the neighborhood kids they came over. And one of them was...
Talking about next door, right?
Yeah.
And they were always really active kids.
Yeah. So, and one of them was relatively older. So, you know, like with the older ones, you always want to be even extra more mature.
Better impression.
Yeah. Because it's like, well, like, I don't know.
They're naturally cooler to you.
Yeah,
They're
exactly. So then, I remember he had said something about like, oh, what a cool bike. You guys, like, I was like, yeah, we got a bunch of bikes. He's like, oh, whoa, that one's cool. I was like, yeah, like, if you want, you can have it, I said. And I was like thinking, I got brownie points off of this,
Ah.
you know? And he's like, for real?
He's going to remember this.
He's like, you don't want anything for it? And I was like, in my head, my thought process was, I don't use it. You can. Like, you can make something.
I'm not losing anything from
exactly.
this.
Thank you. So then he's like, for real? And I was like, yeah, you can take it. And then he's like, okay. And he takes it. And I guess word got around to my mom. I don't know how. I don't know if I told her. Maybe I felt proud about it or something. I honestly don't remember how she found out. And she freaking loses it. She goes, how dare you give away a nice bike like that? We don't have money to be just giving things away like that. And she just goes like screaming at me, like yelling, she's not holding back, bro. And I just remember being in tears, crying like crazy. I'm just like, I'm sorry, like trying to apologize. And I was in my room and she's like, I don't care how you do it, but you better get that bike back. I don't care how, but you better get it back. And I was like, wow, I have to go back and face him and be like, I need it back. And not just while like in a normal, like in a normal state. I was like in tears. Yeah. I was hysterical. And you're asking me to go like this and ask for it back. So I remember begging my brother, my sister, please do me this favor. Please go ask him for it. Please, I'm begging you. And they said, okay, we'll do it for you. I was surprised. Honestly, they would normally not do stuff like that for me.
But I feel like they probably saw how you were taking it.
They saw how distraught I was and how desperate I was. They said, okay, we'll do it for you. So they go over there, tell me why they come back, and he said no. My heart drops, bro. My heart drops. I was like, now I gotta go face my mom again, tell her that he said no. And then I go tell her, and she's like, what do you mean he said no? That's not an answer. That's not acceptable. You better go and try again. You better keep going to ask him for the fucking bike. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was just like losing it some more. And then I was like, I can't, Mom. Like he said no. The problem was he already made fixtures to it. He had bought stuff for it.
Oh, he made modifications to the bike.
And he added stuff to it. He's like, I can't get it back.
Because now I'm losing something.
Yeah. So I was like, and I told her and I explained it. She's like, I don't care, blah, 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 screaming at me some more. And then I was like, well, I don't know what you want me to do. I was like, at that point, I was like, do what you got to do. I told her, if you want to lay on hand on me, do what you got to do. I don't remember what happened after that, to be honest. But eventually, I think it was like a couple days later, my dad came. I just hear him outside, him talking to the neighborhood kids and him being there, right, coming over. And I had the window open and I was just trying to hear. I remember I was in my mom's room too, because it was like in the side yard, so I could hear like what's going on. Like I want to know what's being talked about me, you know? And he's like, here, you know what? I can give you this bike. I know you put money into you're losing something out of this, but I need that bike back because it was better. My daughter is dumb and she don't know any better. And I just remember when I heard that, I was like, fuck, for real. Like, this day can't get any worse. This whole situation can't get any worse.
It's like everything about the way that it's going is like the worst way.
Bro, man, like, that was just such a humbling experience for me. I was like, man, like, I didn't think I was going to get emotional, but I got a little emotional right now. But anyways, that's crazy. So then, so finally he like left, and I just remember thinking like, it's crazy how close we lived to them, because I was like, I never want to face him again. I don't want to show my face again. And it just sucks because I know it was inevitable. It's going to happen. You know, like our families are close. Like it's just going to happen. So then, I remember we were cleaning my mom's van one time and my cousin was over and she was in the car with me. And then, I saw him walking over and she had her friend with her and she was like, I was like, I gotta go.
I gotta go.
I don't want to face him. Hell no. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, explaining her the situation. She's like, he doesn't even care. He probably forgot about it. And I was like, no, he didn't. And they wouldn't let me out of the van. So I was forced to face something I didn't want to face. And he came over and he was talking to them. And he's like, oh, so I had to give back the bike you gave away to me or something. He had brought it up. And I just remember feeling so embarrassed and just like defeated. And I'm just like, I'm here having to deal with this because of you guys. Who said he would forget about it? And look, this is one of those times again when I said something's going to happen. You guys don't believe me, and it happens anyways, bro. I hate moments like that, bro. It pisses me off. Yeah. And there's been so many times. There's another story. You know what? After your next story, I have another story too I could tell. Oh, but yeah, so I had to face him again.
So he brought it up and you were locked into the van here.
And I was just embarrassed. And then I was like, you know what? At least it's over. Hopefully, like, we never have to talk about this again.
You didn't explain yourself in the moment?
No, I was
You just sat there like...
I just took it. But what thankfully, what I appreciated is that I was given the opportunity as an adult to explain myself. And it felt so validating to tell my side of the story. And you know what was so defeating? So fucking defeating was that like a year or two later, after getting the bike back, my dad has a ranch and I went over and I just saw it sitting there collecting dust. And I just broke down. Like, how dare you do that to me for something that didn't even fucking matter, bro?
Yeah.
Gosh, man. Like, how dare you do that to me? For what? It could have been used. Oh, my God, man. That shit. Oh, gosh, I thought I was over this. Oh, yeah, I promise. Damn, bro. That shit really hurt.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you just see it there and you're like, word.
I was like, all that for what?
Because you can't even be like, okay, my little cousin took the bike or something.
Yeah.
It literally just sat there till the fucking sun ate the tires and bleached the fucking color.
Yeah. I was like, all that for what? And I remember bringing it up back to my mom again, and she just like looked defeated and like sorry. And I'm like I just don't see a point in it anymore, you know? Yeah. I don't want to bring it up anymore. Like I know she's sorry. I know she regrets things, and I forgive her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's a tough one too, especially considering like what went on to become with like the relationships with the people across the street and all that. Like how like we basically became inner circle, and that's like what it, you know what I mean? Like, like, so I could imagine just in general worrying about social things, but then especially the way it played out, like these aren't just casual people to us.
It's like, it altered how they see me. You know, it shaped how they see my character, and it's false, bro. That's what hurts more, because that's not who I am.
Yeah.
That's why it hurts so bad.
You don't want them to like, yeah, it's like, it's not even close to you. You know what I mean? Like, you were being yourself when you were being generous, and and then, you know, it's like one of those things that could potentially stay with a kid, you know, where they'll be like, I can't trust her or something like that, you know?
Whew, that was that was crazy. Our next story, bro.
This is kind of the story is allegedly true.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Wait, which one are you gonna say? I thought we were on to the third one.
Yeah.
The okay, never mind, continue.
So it's crazy. It's one of the few memories that's really stayed with me, and I understand why now. But it was at that school in Granada Hills. And if you know, you know. It's crazy too. Okay, so it was like a sexual ed teaching day or something, and it was my PE class, and we had PE like later in the day. I want to say it was like either before or after lunch. And since it was sexual ed, there's things that like I feel like you learn in general, right? But then there's also boy and girl specific stuff.
Yeah.
And so they divided us up. And I remember first they taught the girls. So all the boys were just like, or no, actually, I don't remember what happened first. But all I know is that while it happened, the girls were inside being taught and the boys were just chilling outside.
I remember that they did that for us too.
Yeah. And I remember the PE teacher just being like, all right, well, just sit out here and, you know, whatever, right? And we're just hanging out outside. And literally, we're just standing in front of, like, that building.
Wait, how old were you? 11.
11. This all happened the same year. And, yeah, we're just like a bunch of little rugrats. Like, we're just a bunch of kids just standing out there, right? And, again, it happened near the same exit where we were going to ditch school and, you know, be men and look at Playboys. And so there was that main road I told you that came down from, like, the gym, the indoor gym, and then like the other buildings, and then there was like the blacktop for the basketball over there, and then the field towards the exit.
Yeah.
So we're facing the exit and the buildings on this side. And I just remember we're just sitting there, and then we're kind of standing up, and then some kids are kind of walking around, and it couldn't have been long. It was maybe like 10 or 15 minutes, but when you're 11, that feels like an eternity, you know?
Yeah.
So we're just sitting there, and we're just like, damn, this and that, and then I see a rock and I kick it and it skips a bunch and then hits like an uneven part of the ground and hits the bumper of a car. And I get a jolt down my spine and I go, whoa. Like, I don't know why, but that was so satisfying, right?
What the heck?
And I remember thinking, like, what if it would have hit a window, right? And I was thinking in my head, like, that would have been bad, you know? And I was like, that is fun, you know? And so I remember I was like, this probably won't happen. And, like, I skipped a rock right after that. And it, like, skip. And then it hit higher. It hit the license plate instead of the bumper. And then I remember thinking, like, I feel like I know where this is going if I keep going. Like, I had that moment where I was like,
And this was all in your imagination, right?
No, I really was kicking and throwing rocks.
Alleged.
And alleged, yeah, you're right.
It was all imagined, right?
Yeah.
It was a dream.
Yeah. And so in this dream, I'm like, what if, right?
Yeah.
And what ifs were so attractive to me as a kid. Like I was so fascinated by rules and why they shouldn't be broken, you know? And I remember thinking, like, fuck it. And I just skipped the rock, and it skipped on the uneven part and flew up and broke the back of a car's windshield.
Wow. Like cracked it or shattered?
No, like it hit it and it went poof, and it all
way.
like most of it was broken open. And I remember being like when I saw it, right? Like just be like, oh, and every hair on my body stood up. I felt like a monkey discovering. You remember that movie where the monkeys discover fire or whatever? It shows like the beginning, the history of the world. And they're like, like they're all freaking out like, and I took a deep breath and I look over and all the boys are looking at me. And we're just quiet for a moment, right? We're all just like, right? Like, we're like, oh my God, right? Because we know how serious it is. This is like a school where you wear a uniform, you know what I mean? And like, I just remember being like, oh my God. And then another kid looks down and there's a rock by his foot. And now we're all looking at him.
Like, you next? Like, what are you gonna do?
And then he like looks down at the rock and we're all just still looking at him. And then as he goes to reach it, 9 other boys pick up a rock. I was one of them. And then so we all pick up another rock and then we're all looking at each other like, who's gonna do it? And then like another beat hits. And then at the same time, we all just start throwing rocks. It got out of hand quick. Just the first round, like another 7 windshields were like, and there was cars parked down, and it sucks now because I think about it, and I mean, those had to be faculty cars. Who else parks in the school? So those were all teachers' cars.
Damn, that's crazy.
And, one of them was probably my I wonder. So whatever. I don't know why I was so enticed by chaos as a kid, but it gets crazy. We all start getting like feverish and we just start picking up rocks and just throwing them and shit. And then it became almost like a see how many you can break.
Yeah.
And then before we know it, I don't know. Seriously, it had to have been a minimum of like 10 to 15 cars that were broke. Probably closer to 20 or more. Yeah. I don't know. There was like I just remember we broke a bunch of windshields. And then all of a sudden we're all just kind of like, oh, fuck. And it set in. And then we're all looking at each other again. And we're like, oh, shit, man. Because we just realized we vandalized like this whole row of cars down the street. And we like sunk in like, bruh. Yeah. Like, it's not just one car, bro. Like, all these guys are going to have to get new fucking back windshields.
Wow.
And I think some kids had even broken like the side mirrors with like the rocks.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, oh, my God, right? Like, we're fucked. And then our dumbasses went and hung out on the other side of the building. Like, we just moved. We're like, we weren't even here, bro. Like, we just went around and we waited. And I don't remember how that day ended. But, like, I guess the teacher came back, the gym teacher, and everything was cool. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I just remember, like, the next day, they came into all, like, I was in a different class. And they came in and they're like, we're looking for the kids who are responsible for vandalizing all those cars on the street. Yeah. And they were like, we need to find out, like, who did it, if you have any information. Like, I think they even offered a reward and all that. Wow. And I remember being like, that's pretty crazy. Like, I remember just being like, what a world we live in. and, like, nothing, right? But, like, what blows my mind to this day
is that no one cracked, bro.
There was at least...
That blows my mind.
There was, like, 15
There's always
of us.
somebody that cracks, bro. That blows my mind.
But you know what it is, though? I think because everybody that was there threw a rock, everybody knew that they would go down.
Yep.
So I think that's what kept everybody from doing it. Because there were no witnesses.
That's good.
Only
That's good.
fucking...
accessories
yeah.
to the crime.
And so I remember thinking, like, damn, this is
Did
crazy.
you guys talk to each other? Like, don't say nothing.
That's the crazy thing, though. Mob bosses
You all knew each other that you
the mob would have been proud of us. It was like a mass murder that we covered up. We never spoke about it again. Not one fucking kid went to the other and was like, "That's crazy, huh?" Like, never again.
That's crazy.
Like, maybe you would recognize a kid at lunch and you would just kind of look at each other for a bit and then that was it. Like, nobody brought it up.
Wow. I love how you all collectively grew up into adults looking back on this day thinking that was a crazy time.
And the crazy thing was, like 6-7 months later than that year, they're still bringing it up, like coming every once in a while and like during classes and being like, yeah, if you have any information, you would hear it over the sound system. And I'll just be like, come on, man. Like, oh, well, like, you're not going to catch us. You know what I mean? Like, why now? Who's going to crack now?
Yeah.
And finally, I ended up moving. I had to move because the reason why I attended that school is because my mom had a job, like, not far from the school. So that was it. I don't know if anybody ended up getting caught for it later on or what, but, you know.
Yeah.
I ended up leaving, and then one of my best friends, we'll just call him Jakob. One of my best friends, Jakob, he ended up going to that school for the 6th grade the year after I left. I think he's like about a year behind me or something. Yeah. And I remember one time we're hanging out, we're smoking on my balcony, and then he goes, yeah, man, I have crazy kid stories. And I go, oh, yeah, me too, man. I have a lot of stuff I'm not proud of. And then he was like, you have any really crazy ones? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm kind of pretty ashamed about this one. And I told him the story on how we broke all those cars. And he dropped the fucking joint. He goes, that was you? And
That's crazy.
And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, you're a legend at that school. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, nobody ever knows who did that. he goes, dude, my whole first year, they kept coming into class and asking us about that. Like, he was like, I was like, dude, I left the year after. He was like, they kept asking after you left. Like,
that's crazy.
They wanted to find out who did it. And I guess they never did, because at least a year after I was gone, they still didn't know.
Wow.
And again, I feel really bad looking back at it, but I got to be fair with myself. I was 11 years old. You know, I didn't grow up with the best male role models. And
wow.
And, you know, I mean, clearly it's something that's crazy in the boys about breaking shit and stuff.
Cause it happened because of you, bro. You initiated it.
But it's just crazy because the moment I broke the first one, everybody was like, oh, like everybody like wanted in on it. And then as soon as one kid picked up a rock, like a bunch of other kids were like, no, like I'm like,
wow.
And it's funny because it went from like, oh, I accidentally broke it to like, let's break them. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but to this day, I don't understand how we never got caught. And it's been 19 years, so statute of limitations or whatever.
Not only were they so committed to finding who did it, that's what worries me. To where the passion in trying to find who it was.
Well, just imagine
because if they
how
run into
pissed
this,
you would be. Imagine you're one of the teachers and you come out and your car's missing 6 windows, and so are the next 10 cars next to you. You'd be like, what the actual fuck, right? Like, that's not cool. Like, it really sits with me now how fucked that was. But I'm sorry, you know what I mean? I'd like to consider myself a good person, and I feel like I've been pretty good to people, despite my fucking monkey-brained vandalism as a kid.
Told, you know?
I don't know. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little boy, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. I was 11.
Me, I worry how passionate they were to try and find you. So if they saw this, one of them would be like, I'm gonna get you for this. I was so mad. I finally found him.
Fuck it.
And not only the kids, one of the kids that did it, the kid who started it, bro.
Hey, and he's grown now. I can put hands on them.
You see, that's another thing you'd have to worry about.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not really worried about them being bigger than me, and they'd be old by now.
They're old now, yeah.
Yeah, so not that it would. I don't know, but yeah, I just feel bad if any of the teachers somehow come across this video, whoever was involved. You know.
That's a funny story, though. And
still
this is
can't
what I
believe
mean by when I
did
say, like, the things that you did, bro. It's so outlandish to me. I can never imagine myself doing that stuff, especially as a kid, you know?
It just trips me out. Like, I was two kinds of people as a kid. I was either, like, super focused on, like, a documentary or, like, drawing or, like, coloring or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was out breaking shit. Like, there was, like...
one or the other.
Yeah, like, I
funny.
was, like... I had the craziest luck, man.
That's funny. Okay, now moving on to the next story. Which I'm a little hesitant to speak on because this one's, like, requires vulnerability. And it's, like, something, like, I'm embarrassed of. And, well, I guess not as much as anymore. But you know what's crazy? It was actually, like, I had people close to me that I considered best friends, and I didn't tell them for years about this. Years. I guess I was kind of ashamed of it. But then I look back, and I was only 5 years old. So then...
you don't even have it. Like, it's... Yeah.
I was only 5 years old, so I look back at it with compassion. I'm like, you know what? Like, I shouldn't be so... look down on myself so
have
hard.
more grace with a child.
I should have more grace, because I like, that's just, it's sad
You're a baby.
to think, yeah. Like, I feel sorry for my little younger self, but... So, I was 5 years old and going to kindergarten, and for some reason I had so much anxiety to speak up for myself, to the point where it was hard to ask to go to the bathroom. And I think it was hard because I hated being perceived, and the way our classrooms worked, it was like a big, like, a separate building, right? And you had to walk outside, go into a separate classroom, and walk. And the bathroom that we had to use was a bathroom between two classrooms. So you had to walk into a separate classroom to walk into the bathroom. And I was just so scared of, like, being looked at for some reason. I don't know. I have no idea where that came from, to be honest. It's crazy.
Like, even just the idea of them being like, look at that girl go by. Like, that bothered you?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why. To, like, have everybody stare at me. And I'm just like... Well, I don't know why I just, like, was so scared to of being perceived. So this is where the harsh part comes. I would pee myself every day in kindergarten. And what's crazy is that it lasted weeks, maybe even a month. It's so crazy. Every day I would pee myself because I was too afraid to raise my hand and ask, can I go to the bathroom? And the only reason it stopped was because every time that it happened, they would call my mom and she would come and bring extra clothes for me. She would, no, she wouldn't bring extra clothes. They would call my mom and she would take me home. And she would, I would get changed or whatever, shower change, and I would just chill at home. And it was so crazy because I felt, like, safe being at home. I'm like, you know, I'm chilling at home now.
At least I'm home now.
I get to come home early from school, you know, so I was chilling afterwards. But, eventually it got to the point where it was happening every day, to where my mom brought extra clothes one day, and I wasn't expecting this. She changed me in the bathroom, and she left me there. And I remember I was screaming, kicking, crying, thinking, like, how dare you leave me here, you know? I don't know, like, it's weird because...
Like, in your head, you're probably like, it means I get to go home. Why am I not going home?
Yeah, which is so weird because it's like, it didn't feel embarrassing to go back the next day, but it almost felt, like, shameful to
come back immediately.
Yes, I don't know what, that's so weird to think about.
And you're probably feeling like, I paid the price. I should get to go home now. Like,
yeah, and I was crying, screaming so bad that they put me in the middle. They put a chair in the middle of the class, and they sat me there. And I just sat there with my head down because I was so embarrassed to look at people. And it sat with me after the fact that I put on this whole show, like, screaming hysterically, just to be put in front of everybody and, like, be defeated, basically. Like, I put in so much effort to go home just to be defeated. And I just sat there. I remember one girl, like, she came up and she's like, oh, come play. And I was like, no, I'm okay. Which was sweet of her. So
yeah.
I appreciate that, you know?
That was nice.
That was nice of her to do that. But I was just so, like I just wanted to be by myself. I didn't want to interact with anybody at that time.
Yeah.
And then the next day came, and that's when the reality hit that my mom's not going to save me anymore. If I pee myself, I'm going to stay
dealing
here.
with it.
I'm dealing with it. So then I was like, what do I do? And I remember I had a jacket, a big puffy jacket, and I sat on it. and I still peed myself. And I was hoping to like it
Like
be
the jacket
enough
would catch it.
to where like it's not noticeable, and I got away with it somehow. Isn't that crazy? I got away with it.
And you sat in class long enough for it to kind of soak up?
Yeah.
Like you didn't drip when you left?
I did a little bit, but for some reason now
Not enough to get caught.
Not enough to get caught.
That's crazy.
So wild. I think my mom ended up seeing that I did after when I got home. Or I might have changed. I don't remember. To be honest, this is so like, it's not as vivid when I'm thinking about it. But I know, that's crazy. And then I told myself I can't do this every day. I can't wear a jacket every day. And I think my mom had to have known because
also, not
this is
just
my
that.
jacket and she washed my clothes.
Eventually, you're going to start chafing. You can't just sit and piss.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
well, it
it's
sat with me. I was
acidic.
like, no, I can't do this. So then, finally, I built up the courage. I said, okay, so if that's not going to work, I have to do something else.
Have to address this.
I finally raised my hand. And I said, can I go to the bathroom? And I didn't even think this, literally, the teacher was shocked. And she goes, yeah, you can.
Go now.
Crazy. But tell me why I still didn't fucking go. Bro, I walked out the class and I walked back and forth. I didn't want to go into that separate classroom to go to the fucking bathroom. Isn't that crazy? I walked back and forth and I was like, okay, it seems like it's been long enough to where it looks like I went to the bathroom. And oh, you know what? I got it mixed up. That was the time I peed in my jacket because I had no other choice. So that's where it ended up resulting in that. And then after that, we had to line up outside for something. I forgot what it was for. And I was at the very end of the line. I peed myself there. I was like, you know what? I'm at the back of the line. No one's going to notice. But the teacher had asked me if I did because there was a puddle outside. Obviously, it makes sense. So then it was like, I told her no, I just denied it. She's like, okay, well, she just, took it as it was, so. But the story has a good ending. Eventually, I grew brave enough to where I asked, and I went all the way through. And I was like, and I was scared. My heart was racing. As I was walking through, I saw them staring at me, and I just, I was like, pushed through, and I finally made it to the bathroom. I was like, oh my gosh. And after that, I felt comfortable enough to ask. And I look back and think, like, at first I was, like, so ashamed of that story for a long time. But then I look back and think, like, I was only 5 years old. What was going on at home for me to be that scared just to ask to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
When I rephrased it like that, when I asked that question, I was like, wow, like, that's crazy. And I don't remember that time that much, so I don't really know, like,
what would have produced that behavior.
And once again, like, I don't blame my parents for stuff. I love them to death, too. I love them with all my heart. And this is why this episode's going to include stories from them. Because one thing that I learned that helped me reframe the way they did things is that I learned more about them. Once you learn more about their stories, things make sense.
Puts things into perspective.
It does. And I told myself, they did what they
thought was best.
They did the best they could with what they knew.
Yeah.
I read that somewhere and I was like, wow, like that really does put things into perspective because no one teaches you to raise like there's no perfect way to raise kids.
There's no, yeah.
And I think I became who I am because of my hardships, because of my humbling experiences.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost like a gift and a curse. I feel like I see life so beautiful because I experienced such like hardships. You don't really know what's good until you experience the bad because you have something to compare it to. So that's how I take these like these hardships, these hard memories that
valuable lessons.
That as valuable lessons. So and that's how I move forward. That's part of my life philosophy is when I move through hardships and pass through challenges, it's like I always see things as like, what am I learning from this? So yeah, so that one was a little bit of a shorter story, but it's a part of my formative years.
You've inspired me to, and we can cut this if it doesn't feel right, but you reminded me of a story. I think it was, I think it was the first time my sister took me to Disneyland. I was 9 or 10 years old, and I was just blown away at the fact that she would like it was just the craziest thing ever, right?
Yeah.
And my sister was like my mom when I was little. She was so generous and really cared about me and looked out for me. And she had just gotten a job, and just not like she had all these bills to pay immediately. Or I don't know exactly what her finances were. I guess it's even possible that my mom charged her rent as soon as she had a job, but I just remember she always made it a point to take me out. And I always loved that, you know, it was really nice. And she took me to Disneyland this time, and I was so excited that and we had the California Pass thing too, so we could go back and forth. We could go to like the California Park side and then Disneyland. And I was so excited, I held in my piss for hours.
Wow.
I was so like, oh my God, what's next, that I didn't want to stop and pee. And I just remember being like, like I felt like a stinging, pinching sensation. And we were on a ride, and I fucking pissed myself.
Wow.
I just remember I let that shit go, and I had been holding it in all day, so it was like 2 piss worths. Like I remember it completely wet one side of my pants. And I remember we got off the ride, and I was young, so like the guy, you know, watching the ride, he didn't make a big deal about it. He's like, it's all right, man. He was like, don't like, you know. But I remember being like, oh, fuck. And then my sister immediately took me to the bathroom, the nearest bathroom. And I don't remember who came up with this idea, but basically, I think we just rinsed out my pants in the sink. Like, I think she probably had me take my underwear off and my pants and then, like, rinsed it. I just remember I was completely wet after that. Like, I remember when we fixed it and rinsed the pants, like, all my pants were completely wet. And we just kept riding rides, and I just remember being like, I think my sister even told me, like, don't worry, it'll probably be dry in, like, an hour or two, you know, like, and that's it. We just kept going on rides, and it dried, and I didn't pee myself again. But, like, I remember after that, she made it a point. She's like, you tell me. She's like, I'm going to make you go to the bathroom if you don't. Like,
how old are you?
Probably, like, 9 or 10. But I remember I was so excited. I just pinched it. I didn't care.
That's funny.
I was like, I didn't want to, like, I was so like, oh my God. Like, I wanted to go to the next ride that I was like, I don't care. Like,
That's funny.
But, isn't that wild? Okay, so, I've always known, both from, like, self-reflection and obviously people talking about me as a kid, that I was, like, a really rowdy kid. And, like, just like a wild card and, like, mischievous. Like, everybody always knew I was a sweet boy. I wasn't, like, a malicious boy, but...
Wait, how old were you?
I always found a way to get in trouble, and just in general, when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with this notion, but now that I think about it, I think that it really solidified or became a thing in my mind after this experience. But I always thought, like, most of the times that I got hurt as a kid were because I looked for it. Like, I really didn't listen.
Yeah.
And well, you know, stuff happened. That's why people tell you to be careful and things like that, you know? And so it's crazy because I used to tell this story so differently originally. I would always tell it like, basically, I learned the hard way. That's how I carried that with me for years, thinking that I earned this. But I'll tell it how I used to tell it, and then I'll explain, I guess, what I came upon. But I remember we were driving in my aunt's van, and it was just my aunt, my cousin, and we're just like running back and forth in the back of the van. I mean, we're little boys. I think I could have been anywhere from 5 to 7 years old. 7 at the latest. I really think I was like 6 years old.
Which is a baby.
Yeah. And I just remember we were running back and forth in the back, and we were probably playing tag or something, like wrestling in the back seat. And I just remember my aunt getting really upset. And in my head, I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, we're just having fun. Like, what's the problem?
But she was driving, right?
Yeah. And I remember she got really mad, and I didn't respond well to authority as a kid. And I especially if you were coming at me irrationally, like, even as a kid, if you wanted to convince me to do something, there had to be a reason to it, not just because you said so, because fuck you. That's how I felt
even
about
if
it
it
as
was
a
your
kid.
mom?
No. My mom, I had reverence for my mom. But, like, you basically had to, like, you know, give me a good reason. Like, I'm not just going to listen to you because you say so. You know what I mean? And I just remember she was like, sit down and buckle up. And I think I ignored her. And in my head, I was like, man, fuck all that noise, right? Like, in my head, I was like, and we're running back and forth. And then my cousin's still ignoring her with me. And then finally she yells, she's like, Angel. And then he like sat down and buckled up real quick. And I just remember feeling that crazy feeling in my stomach, like the car had sped up. And then all of a sudden we stopped. And I flew from the back seat all the way to the radio.
Wow.
And I remember thinking like, oh no, like when I flew, and I flew so fast that as I turned flying forward head first, I remember I couldn't bring my arms up. That's how fast I flew. I couldn't bring my arms up. And so I just turned my head, and that's why it split me right here. And
Don't you still have a scar for
yeah,
it?
it's like kind of a faint scar. You can't really see it.
No, I could tell.
But it's from my eyebrow to like where my hairline used to be. Now my hairline's a little further back, but it used to basically be from my hairline to my eyebrow.
That's crazy.
And I mean, right now the scar's like this big. So
Yeah.
imagine that on a 6-year-old's forehead.
Yeah. How deep was it? Do you know?
Oh, you can see my skull.
Wow.
It split me. Like it didn't.
Didn't it knock you unconscious?
Yeah. So I flew all the way with all of my body weight head first into the radio, and at the last second I turned, and I think that's probably why I didn't break my neck.
Oh my god.
And I just remember I had the instinct of like, my hands aren't gonna do it, and I just kind of tucked my head. And then I don't remember the hit, like it didn't hurt or anything. I just remember being like, and I was gone. And then I woke up on the couch in my aunt's living room, and I remember waking up panicked because when I opened my eyes, I had a bloody rag over my face. So I just saw blood and was like, oh, fuck. And I sat up, and then I felt really dizzy. And then I remember my aunt was like basically telling my mother, like pleading with her, like, I'm sorry, like I don't know how this happened. Like, forgive me and all that. And I just remember my mom having no empathy. Like, my mom was looking at her like a lion looks at a lamb. Like, and then as soon as she saw me sit up, she just came over to me. And, you know, she started talking real sweet to me and told me to like, you know, basically lean back on the couch and not to get up or anything. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck my aunt was thinking. I was literally just laying on her couch with a rag over my head, just bleeding into it.
That's crazy.
And I guess my mom took me to the doctor or whatever. I don't remember much after that. But I just remember like I saw the cut once I woke up, and you could see a little bone. Like it split me all, like it went right to the and luckily it healed pretty clean. But it's crazy how for years I would always tell that story, like, can you believe that? I was such a little asshole. And then like I learned my lesson. Like that's how I would tell that story.
Yeah.
And then one day I was at CSUN and I was telling it, we were smoking with some girls, and I was like, but yeah, you know, sometimes you got to learn the hard way. And some girl was just looking at me like, that's fucked up. And I was like, what? And she was like, what do you mean? And like she was like, did you just listen to yourself? And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I fucking learned the hard way. And she was like, nah, dude. She was like, didn't you say your aunt was driving in an alley? Like, why the fuck was she driving fast? And why'd she stop all of a sudden? And then everything clicked for me, and I was like, oh fuck.
She was the adult in that situation.
And I remember thinking like, oh shit, did she do that on purpose? Right? Like, I remember,
you thought it was an accident?
the whole time I thought that something happened, like a cat ran by or something. But now that I think about it, we played up and down that fucking alley.
Wow.
There was never traffic in that alley, and there was no reason for her to be going that fast. So I think I wasn't listening, and she was just like, oh yeah? And like,
oh my god.
and I forgive her, you know what I mean? Like, to this day, I really don't think that she knew what was going to happen. I don't know what was in her heart or anything. But I forgave her for it a long time ago. And I don't know, it's just crazy how like sometimes you can look back on things and they're not how you like. That's how I made sense of it. In my head, I thought
for a long time,
I thought I earned that. In my head for a long time, I was like, that's why you don't fuck around, because you find out. And then yeah, I don't know, it humbled me, I think, for the better. But looking back, it's pretty, I don't know, it's a wild thing.
Oh my gosh.
Also, I mean, like, I could have been retarded. I could have died from that. Like, I could be talking with a lisp. Like, I don't know. But in you know, in her defense, she grew up in a pretty hostile environment along with my mom. They were exposed to a lot of crazy things at a young age. So I have a lot of empathy for her. Just realizing, like, how scattered her mind might have been by certain experiences and why that's allowed her to behave in odd ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, just crazy stories. Like I remember my mom telling me about how they grew up so poor, and like just like weird, crazy experiences. Like I remember my mom said one time, she was telling my grandma, she was like, you remember that weird ass neighbor that would always like just throw his Playboys around in the street, and they would always blow around in the wind by the house. And my grandma was like, that was your dad's, and like, or your stepdad's or whatever. So like just weird stuff like that, you know. They were exposed to an excessive amount of physical and other forms of abuse. And so I try to have a lot of grace with any of my aunts and uncles if I feel like we disagree or they have some like antiquated way of feeling about things. Yeah. Because I also understand, like, you grow up in, you know, like gnarly situations. Like my uncle Jose Luis one time, they used to get so bored they would roll down hills. And so he was rolling down a hill and he caught a jump. And when you catch a air on a rolling down a hill, you could suddenly like fall 10 feet, you know what I mean? Because you'll catch. Yeah. And he fell in such a way that he broke his arm and a bone came out from his skin. And like the nearest hospital is like 20-30 miles away, and they don't have money for food to begin with, so they're not going to take him. And my mom told me he basically found like a stick somewhere and bit it and yanked his arm until he popped it in. And that, praise God, that it slid back in the right way, and that other than pain for a bit, like, he healed. And he showed me the scar later on. Oh my God. And I remember when I asked him about it, he goes, oh, your mom told you about that? Like, he said it like that. And I was like, dude. And when it happened to him, he was like 12 years old.
Oh my gosh. And you know, I think it's very common for like third world country. I was gonna say like Hispanic Latino, but maybe just even third world country.
Well, they literally had an outhouse. They had no plumbing.
Childhood experiences.
This is Mexico in the 60s.
It's like survivalist and like having to grow up super fast.
Yeah.
So like that's why I consider us so privileged.
Yeah.
Our stories don't even compare to our parents' stories, and that's why I feel like it's important to show forgiveness.
Yeah, because my mom
because they did the best
fast.
they could with what they knew.
Like I remember my mom talking about like how careful people are with their kids, and she's very careful. She was very careful with us, but sometimes she would laugh at like helicopter parents. Because she'd be like, man, when I was like 11 years old, 12 years old, I used to get cucumbers, chop them, put like tahini on them and lemon, and I would ride a bus to another city and sell them when she was like 11, 12 years old.
That's crazy.
And I was like, that's wild.
You know, I feel like my mom was she was a helicopter parent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think she was.
But
because
she wouldn't even
let us walk down the street by ourselves. But you know, it's different for girls.
Oh, yeah. It's way different.
Yeah.
I think my mom was more loose with me because I was a boy. She's like, he'll be all right. But like,
yeah.
Also, it really wasn't up to her all the time. I have to be fair to my mom. I was like the Tasmanian devil. If you turned around, I was in the next city. Like, so many times we'd go to the mall and she'd be like, Papi, and I'd just be gone. I'd be like in the other side of the mall.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on to the next story. I have one more story.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to my last story. I wanted to... What story was it? Okay, now I remember. So, this is one of those things, again, where I go back to where I say something, people don't listen to me, and I was right all along. I hate those moments, man. That's why, I don't know if you noticed this, but there's times where I'm just like, when you say, even when Jimmy says, you were right, and I'm like, I was what?
What?
It feels so good to hear. Say it again.
I didn't catch that.
Say it again. Matter of fact, let me make it my ringtone.
Say it in the mic.
But, so there's this time, right? And this was crazy. I used to be friends with, like, the popular kids at school. And I never fit in with them. I was always uncomfortable, bro. I did not fit in. But that's despite the fact. There's this... So I was at a friend's house. My mom had dropped me off. I want to say in 6th grade. And she dropped me off at this girl's house. It was down the street, literally. And I was with this other girl. And we're all just... I'm going to call them girl 1 and girl 2. Just so we can paint a picture. So I was with them and I was chilling. And there was this girl that's popular. And she lived literally... There was like... So there's this block of street. And then there was this row of houses, right? But there was this plot of land that had no house in it. And then the next street over, there was another row of houses, and like there's this popular girl that lived there. So girl 1 and girl 2 were like, let's go over to her house, blah, blah, blah. Come on, she just lives down the street, like literally across the plot of land. We'll just walk through and we'll get to her house. I was like, all right, man, there's no way my mom could figure this out, that I'm being bad. Because in her eyes, she's always like, you stay where I left you, and you don't go anywhere else. So I was like, okay. So then I walked the plot of land, and I was like, there's no way she's going to find out, so I'll be all right. And we're hanging out at her house, and she was cool, her mom was cool, so they let her have boys over her. My mom ever found that out, like, she would be pissed. She would go to war.
Guerra.
Just to find out, like, that I was hanging out with boys. It's crazy. So then, so she invited boys over, and I was like, okay, whatever. We're all hanging out, and then, they were like, let's walk to the store. And they were all like, let's walk to the liquor store, which was, like, kind of far, bro. It was probably an hour walk. And I was like, nah, I can't go. That's too crazy. It was on a main road. And my mom would take that main road to go to my dad's ranch. My dad had a ranch. And she would take it sometimes to go over there. And I was like, I'm not risking it. Forget that, buddy. And I was like, and they were like, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And I was like, nope. And I refused. I was standing my ground to the point where they're like, all right, fine. You can stay here then. But I was even like, you could just leave me here. And the popular girl was like, no, I can't leave you here. Like, my mom's going to start tripping, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be like, why are you here? Not with everybody else. And I'm just like, but I'm not going. I don't know what to tell you. I'll go back to girl one's house. Because that's where I was at. That's where I was told I was going to be. That's what the plan was, to hang out. Mm-hmm. And then, but girl one and girl two wanted to be so bad hanging out with, like, everybody else. And, so they said, okay, fine, you win. Girl one and girl two came back with me to girl one's house, and I was like, okay. But it sucked because I felt like I was the bad guy for choosing to be safe, you know, to not want to get in trouble. So I'm just like, man, like I basically losing. You
felt like the party pooper.
I'm losing social status over being scared of getting caught by my mom. So we go to girl one's house and we're just hanging out, and then it's been a while already. And then girl one's like, okay, we should go check if they're coming back already. And I was like, nah, like, they're like down the block to the main road, just at the corner of the main road. Let's just walk up there and we'll see if they're there. And I was like, nah, I'm not risking it. And they're like, what are the chances your mom's gonna catch you? What are the chances? I was like, I don't know. They drive this street a lot. You know, they're always going back and forth through this street. I don't even want to chance it, bro. I'm so scared of my mom. And they're like, you're tripping. It's not going to happen. What are the chances? And then finally they convinced me. They said, we'll just walk the corner and see if they're even coming back. And that's it. That's it. And they convinced me. So then I was like, okay, fuck it. You know what? I'm uncomfortable with this decision, but I'm going to do it for you guys. Basically. So then I walked down the street with them. And then all of a sudden they say, we're here now. Let's just meet them. Because we saw them walking down the main street. But they were kind of far a little bit. But still to the point where we could see them. They're like, let's just meet them. We'll meet them and come back. And I was like, no, you just said the corner and come back. That's what you said. And they're like, you'll be fine. Da, 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 da.
We're already here.
Yeah, we're already here. Just a little bit more. Tell me why we're walking a little bit. The whole time my heart's racing. And my fucking mom catches me. And I said, I fucking told you guys, bro. I fucking told you guys. Oh my gosh, I was so angry, bro. I was like, this whole time. And you know what's crazy? And that's a big theme in my life. I always try to do what's right, and I still get in trouble for it, bro. That's what pisses me off. Anyway, so then my mom stops the van, and she was with my sister, and she goes, ¿Qué hijos de la chingada madre? What are you doing here? And then she's like,
Trágame tierra.
She's like screaming at me in front of the popular kids, mind you. So fuck my social status, right? And she's like, what are you doing here? Why are you walking? It's not where I left you. You're not going to be allowed to go out anymore. Get your ass in the car. So then she's like, I was like, all right. And I get in the car and I sit down, and she's like, and who are you with? And she looks over at the boys. And she freaking goes off on me.
She's like, sick. You're with some boys too?
So this is what you're doing.
You're disobeying me for boys?
Oh my gosh, bro. She goes off and she's like, get in the car. She's like, you're all with all these people. She's like, get your friends in the car. I'm going to take you back to your girl one's house, right? And she's like, you're all with all these people? She's like, all right. I'm not gonna take you guys because you know you're with so many people. She's like, but you walk your ass straight back to girl one's house. I was so surprised she even told me that. To be honest, I was surprised she told me to go back to my friend's house. I was like, I'm surprised you're not taking me home. To be honest,
she probably had something to do.
She probably
had something to do.
Maybe, I don't know. But she was like trying to like say to get everybody in the car. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell all these people to get in the car. They're not even
get in my mom's car because like what the fuck?
Like she probably even knew she was being irrational.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. And so then she just says go straight back to over there. And I think she even followed me there, make sure I made it. And I remember, no, that's not what happened. She left. I remember we were walking back to girl one's house, and I just walked in front of everybody. I was off to myself, pissed as fuck. I was just mad, and I was just walking. And the whole time, my friend, the girl whose friend house I was at, she was like, I'm sorry, you were right, blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to hear it. Because I tried to tell you, and you guys weren't listening to me. So then I just kept walking. And I remember even she telling me that the popular girl was saying, she's being over dramatic. Now I'm mad at her now. And I'm like, for real? I wish I had your life, bro, because your mom's cool as fuck to even let you have boys over. That's crazy, bro. Like, I wish you understood what it's like living in my house. And that was my whole life, being with friends with like that, people like that, because they never understood.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I don't know. It's crazy. But on the bright side, she didn't make it a big deal enough to where like she made it like, oh, I'm not fucking with you anymore, you know. So she in the moment she was like that. In the moment she didn't understand. That's the thing. You have to realize she didn't understand.
No.
She didn't know what it was like to have a mom like that. So she told me, the girl went to said, don't say anything. Don't tell her I told you. But yeah, she said this, and then she came back to me and she said, nah, she's not actually mad. She's just. You know, I think she explained to her the situation, and then it ended up settling like, okay, man, kind of to a little bit understand what you're going through, you know? But I was just like, man, bro, it just sucks fucking being right, and then just, oh, man. That was a tough moment for me. It's a kind of a short story, but it's just crazy how I was right, bro, man. It freaking pisses me off.
I feel like it makes sense, though, in a way, now looking back, like, why our parents were so intense, because they had, like, a lot of intense experiences.
Yeah.
So I kind of get why they were, like, you know, so, like, protective about us and where we were and stuff. Like, what irony. My mom wanted to know where I was all the time, and my sister was like that. If you told my sister to sit somewhere, she would sit there until you told her to get up.
Wow.
And quietly, like a little princess. And I always had a fire under my ass. Like, how funny that, like, my mom, that's what she wants, and I'm like, gotta go do this, gotta go explore, gotta... I remember we lived in a couple not so great neighborhoods, even, like, when I was in high school. And even though we were around, like, you know, not the best neighborhoods and potentially some dangerous people, everybody feared and respected my mom.
Wow.
Like, I remember I had friends that were, like, had intense experiences and hung out with intense groups of people. And I remember them being like, hey, if your mom's coming around, you got to go, bro. Like, they were like, we can't be having that around here. Like, he's like, but they wouldn't, like, disrespect her or argue with her. Like, if she ever talked to them, they'd be like, I don't know where he is. And they would just tell her, like, you know?
That's crazy.
And, like, one of my funniest memories, it was really embarrassing, but now it makes me laugh. I was hanging out at my homie's brother's baby mama's house apartment. And my mom just knew that I was in that complex because, like, we lived across the street in these townhomes, and I guess one of my neighbors saw me go there. And so I remember my mom just walked up and she was just like, Andres! Andres! Like, literally screaming at the top of her lungs, Andres! And, like, she wouldn't even be like, where are you? She would just be, like, yelling my name. And I remember I'd be like, oh, fuck. And I, like, one time I think I was literally smoking weed inside the apartment with, like, my friend. And I remember being like, come on, gang. And, like, I passed it to my friend and being like, damn, handing the, like, his spray or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And then I remember I was like, maybe she'll stop. And my friend was like, she never stops. Like, get out of here. Like, you know? And then, like, his brother being like, come on, man. Like,
yeah.
You know? Like, I don't want her coming over here getting crazy. Yeah. And I was like, come on, man. She won't find me. He goes, she's going to find you.
That's a term, you know.
And he was like, "You gotta go, bro. I'm sorry." He was like, and me just being like, "Damn!" Like, and then I came out, and then my mom saw me, and she's like, "What are you thinking?" I'm like, "What are you doing?" I remember I would just talk to her. I'd just be like, "What's the matter with you?" Like, I'd be like, "What are you doing right now?" Like I would always just be like, "Are you for real?" And she'd be like, "Are you fucking for real?" And she would be like, "Where have you been?"
Crazy. I remember when I was in high school, finally senior year, I got my first cell phone. An iPhone was already out by then, but I got a flip phone. A flip phone. I had to press S4. No, what is it called? 9 4 times to make an S. That's the type of shit I was on. And I begged and begged my parents for a phone, and I didn't even care what it was. The fact that I could call and text people was amazing, you know? And but ever since I got it, nonstop calling me, this woman. She would just call. There's so many instances where I would answer and she would be screaming at me so crazy to where people thought it was on speaker. Screaming,
where it's literally yelling and you can hear it from like right here.
Yeah,
you're just like,
embarrassing. And I remember my sister be like, "Why are you answering?" And I'm just like, I don't know why I felt the need to be so obedient. You know, like I wish I was more like her, but nah. And what's funny because she would say like, I don't see a point in answering. She's like, I'm gonna get yelled at regardless. I might as well just get yelled at when I get home. You know, just like, I wish I adopted that mentality. Fuck. Because there's been so many times I've been embarrassed. And like even looking back, so that story with the going to the store, right? And meeting me, and then I going back to friend's one house. We ended up going back to the popular girl's house, and I remember telling my mom, "Oh, I want to stay the night here." It's crazy because I could have just gone away with it and said I was sleeping at girl one's house, but I didn't. I ended up calling her because I wanted to do the right thing and be like, "Hey, Mom, is it okay if I'm staying the night here?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" She's like, she was pissed. She's like, "I didn't leave you there. I don't know where the fuck you at." Blah, blah. And I'm just like, I'm literally like down the street. Not even that far. Just let me stay the night here, please. I'm begging you. And she's just like going off on me, screaming. And I remember crying and she's like, "All right." Like I was begging her. And she was like, "All right, you know what? We'll deal with this when you get home." And that, oh my gosh, like it ruined my experience. I remember I was
because now it's a countdown to that.
So hard, and I remember that, like I said, there were still boys there, right? So then I get back and then I was crying, and one of them said like, "Oh, like, are you okay?" Like, and I remember every time I showed any form of vulnerability or weakness in front of anybody, I was always so embarrassed. Like, but looking back, I realized like they were like, "Oh, like she's going through it, she's having it hard." But to me, I was seeing it like, man, I can't believe they seeing me like this.
Yeah.
Like I was feeling shame for my emotions.
Yeah.
You know? So it was definitely tough, man, making friends and like trying to portray myself a certain way. And then when like that image of mine was like broken, it's just like it was really hard to like get through that. Or like, oh my gosh, there's been so many times where I've cried in front of people and I like regretted it, and I told myself like, why are you being so expressive? Like, hold that shit in. Like, I'm being hard on myself. Like, hold it in next time. Don't cry in front of people, you know? Like, so hard on myself. Like, it's crazy. So, that was tough. But I think it only made me, like, strong as a person, you know? So.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's funny because I just saw a video recently, and I've seen other people make this video, but it was funny enough. It was Andrew Tate, you know, that like guy that's famous on the internet. Yeah. And he goes, you know, the funny thing is, he goes, all of the kindest men I've met have gone through some of the wildest shit. He goes, I think that comes from like the direct development of empathy from the experience, because he goes, literally, all of the nicest people I've known have suffered things.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the benefits of it, is like, there's always a bright side to things, right? Like Francis Ngannou, right? He grew up kind of fucked up. He grew up in salt mines, like just basically.
Wait, who?
Francis Ngannou. He's a famous fighter. He's that really big guy I showed you rocking those other big dudes.
Yeah.
Remember, he's the guy that hit the guy where his head went like this before he hit the ground. And so, you know, he didn't have a childhood. He grew up, you know, being hungry sometimes, working in salt mines. He even says there'd be times where they would work through the rain. It would just be pouring, and they would just keep just mining and stuff. And like, yeah, his life was hard and all that, but like, he's an animal. he's like, what, 6'5" or something like that? And he's just jacked because that's how his body grew up while he was developing. He was developing in intense circumstances. So in that sense, like, yeah, it was a hard childhood and stuff. I'm not trying to like excuse or downplay anything. But he got, even in a messed up situation, he got benefits, right? He has endurance. He has grit. He has mental fortitude because he knows what it's like as a child to work long hours in a mine.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's like skills and abilities that he developed because of that.
Yeah. Damn.
You know, so I feel like it's the same thing. Like when we have humbling things, we develop thicker skin, resilience, and empathy.
Yep. And empathy, that's an important one because it's like, I see myself as like being able to like go through these experiences puts you in a position to where you have these intense feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? Of like just defeat and like being super low, defeated, low self-worth. Like you don't matter for shit, bro. And that's so humbling. So to like think that anybody even has a taste of that hurts me.
Yeah.
Like, no. Don't go there, bro. It doesn't feel good. I know that because I've been there. You know?
Yeah.
So that's why it's just like, but I kind of like having that sense of empathy towards people, you know? It's a beautiful thing because it brings people together and it makes you care about other people.
Yeah.
But so now this brings me to the next segment of like this episode is like our parents' stories. There's some stories I want to share about my parents because I don't want to villainize them. They've been through some stuff themselves, you know? Kind of crazy. So I kind of wanted to start off with the story of my mom. There's a bunch of stories, but I'm only going to share one of my mom, one of my dad, you know? So when my mom was a young girl, and this was Mexico, so
yeah.
This is a different
Mexico
environment.
in the 60s
different
and
culture.
70s is like the Wild West.
This is crazy stuff, man. So she lived in poverty. I thought I was poor, but she was definitely poverty. There's times where like they didn't eat, you know? And what's it called? She and her dad was significantly older than her mom. There's like another story in and of itself of that of my grandma that I choose not to share out of respect for my grandma, but my grandma basically kind of raised her on her own, it felt like, for a while. No, for like in the beginning, her dad was kind of there for a bit, and then like for the most part, it was like her mom. Yeah. But her mom was so strong and resilient. My grandma, she made herself like her own stability. She created her own restaurant, and it's so beautiful because I was in Mexico recently and I like see it. My uncle owns it, and it's so beautiful to see that it's still in the family, you know. Yeah. So my grandma would send my mom to get some groceries, you know, to make food for like the family, and that was my mom's like responsibility, was to go to the store and get some stuff. But there was an older, bigger girl that noticed my mom after a while. And for whatever reason, she decided to bully her. She would break her eggs and throw her tomatoes on the ground. And she would bully her. And my mom would come home crying and being like, man, my grandma would be like, where's like the food? Where's the groceries? And she'd be like, oh, this girl's like been ruining them for me. You know, she's like breaking my eggs and messing up my tomatoes. Instead of having love and compassion, like a mom would normally have for their child, just console her. She said, if she does that again, if she kicks your ass and ruins the groceries, te voy a chingar. She's like, not only is she gonna kick your ass, I'm gonna kick your ass too when you get home. I'm gonna get some reps in too. So she's like, you gotta figure it out, basically. Not even giving her an answer. Like, imagine being a child having to figure this out on your own. Yeah, right? That's crazy. So then my mom went back to the store and she was like worried, and she was like, she got the groceries and she came out and the girl's already waiting for her. So she's like, damn, man, what do I do? So my mom used what was around her because she was smaller, right? So she used what she could to her advantage. And she actually said she threw her own eggs at the girl. She's like, you know what? If they're going to break anyways, I might as well be the one to do it. Get something out of it, yeah. And she even told me she grabbed dirt from the ground and threw it in her eyes. So she was able to, like, bring her down, like, have an advantage. And she started kicking her and beating her ass. And to the point where the guy, the owner of the store, came out. She's like, yeah, that's enough. She learned her lesson. Your mom's just, like, on top of her. Like. What's funny is my mom, I think she even said that was her godfather. She's like, yeah, he told me to calm down. Like, she learned it. She got it. She got the message.
You got through to her.
And she pulled her off, and she came home, and eggs were messed up. And she's like, and I was worried because I didn't come back with groceries. So she's like, what is my mom going to say? So then my grandma was like, who messed up your eggs? Was it you or was it the girl? And she goes, it was me. I threw them at her, and I kicked her ass. And she's like, okay. And that was it. And I was like, dang, that's crazy.
I think she respected it because I think your grandma knew, like, well, I wanted eggs, but at least that's the end of that.
Yeah.
That's the last time.
Respect. And you know what it was? That girl never bothered her again.
Well, because bullies are cowards by definition. Like, a bully is messing with an easy target.
Yeah.
Your mom stopped being an easy target.
Yep.
You want to go home with a lick on your face and eggs in your hair? No. So she's not going to mess with your mom anymore.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what made my mom so tough. It makes me wonder, like, how she would have turned out if my grandma intervened and solved the problem for her.
And you know what's crazy? That's super masculine. That's how you would raise a boy.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like, you better kick his ass. Like, that's what I would hear from, like, my uncles and stuff and people from back then. Was like, if you got in a fight, your dad would be like, you better go fight that kid again, because if not, all the other kids are going to gang on you and you're going to be the little fucking punching bag.
And I know in our culture, it's like the Hispanics are normally harder on the girls. But I think she was especially, like, like, my grandma was especially hard on my mom because she was the only girl out of, like, 7 siblings. She had 6 brothers. She did not have a single sister.
That's
she
crazy.
was the only girl.
I
So
didn't
I'm
know
like,
that.
yeah, it's crazy.
Wow, your mom was the only girl.
Yeah. And even her own brothers would bully her, she said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She would, like, be doing, like, some work on, like, at the restaurant, just, like, rolling silverware or something. And they would just, like, be, like, messing up her hair and be like, bruja, bruja.
Fuck.
They would, like, mess up their hair, bro.
Hey, but I bet you they made her tough.
I think so. I know she got into, like, fist fights with them and stuff, so.
I think one of the things that made me a little more physically resilient in my few physical altercations growing up was that, like, I had my ass beat by my cousins, intentionally and unintentionally growing up. And I used to think I was the runt of the litter without realizing until we all hit puberty that I was, like, 2-3 years younger than everybody.
Wow.
Well, not everybody. I had, like, 2 girl cousins that were younger than me, but I remember thinking, like, damn, I'm always so much smaller than all these guys. And then realizing, well, like, shit, Martin's 4 years older than me. Like, of course he's going to be bigger than me. He's 14, I'm 10 years old, you know? We'd have, like, pillow fights, and, like, he would crank me too hard, and I'd bounce off the tile floor or something, you know what I mean? So, like, I feel like that kind of helped me with, like, I guess pain tolerance, you know? Because I would always get hurt with my older cousins. You know how sometimes they want to have, like, secrets and stuff? I would try to follow them into a room, and they'd be holding the door, and I'd be pulling on it, and they'd let go, and I'd smash my head with it. I remember I had, like, it looked like a horn was growing through my forehead. And they got in trouble that time.
Yeah.
I remember my aunt came over, and she's like, what's the matter with you? And she was like, look how big he is, like, because I was a little boy. And then she like, sat me on the counter and put honey on my head, and, like, I don't know what it is about these weird natural remedies, but, like, I could still feel where it's still raised compared to the rest of my skull.
Right now?
Yeah.
What? Was that bad?
Yeah, I have, like, 2 of them.
Damn, that's
Okay,
crazy.
so if you feel right here, you can kind of feel how I have, like, a ball right there.
Dang, I do.
You see how it's separate,
That's crazy.
but, like, the meat filled it out?
Yeah.
But the skull, there's, like, a calcification.
Dang.
Because I literally was pulling on the doorknob, and they let it go, and I was so little that it hit me right in the head. Like, that's the level I was at the door.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I remember it got super huge, and I was crying because it hit me, and then I fell down on the floor. And so she, like, put honey on my forehead, and she was, like, holding me on the counter and stuff. Yeah. And crazy natural remedies. Apparently, that's a thing. She called it a chipote.
Oh.
Like, when you get, like,
yeah.
you know, hard hits on your forehead, and sometimes you can get, like, these growths or swelling that stays permanently. John even has one.
Not bad.
And the honey, she put it on me immediately, and it like shrank, and then, I mean, there's still a trace of it, but it's not, like, visible, you know.
Yeah.
My mom said that there was a superhero at the time when they were kids, and his name was, I think, Kaliman. And he was dressed kind of like Aladdin when he went to the party, like all white, kind of Indian, like the hat and all that. And they loved him because he had, like, physical powers, but also he was like an intellectual person. And so because I was a role model, they were really into, like, all kinds of things, like enlightened thought. And she said that they would, once they got aware of certain notions, they would like try to practice things. Like one of them was like they would meditate when they got bored. They would just sit out in a field and just try to meditate. Mm-hmm. And then after meditating, they would try to levitate. Isn't that funny?
What the heck?
Like, isn't that such a wild thing for like 10, 12-year-olds to be doing? Like out in the field being like, just concentrate. Like trying to like levitate.
Yeah.
And I don't remember any exact details, but I remember my mom saying that like they had some pretty memorable moments just trying it, you know? Mm-hmm. But it's just funny, you know? Like what you'll do. You know, she said they would get like a piece of cardboard and slide down hills and like...
That's funny. I remember my mom said that, and this kind of helped like make a distinction between us and our perspectives. Because one time, this was fairly recent when she told me the story, she said there was like this lake and there was always snakes swimming in it. So there is like these like rich kids. I wouldn't even say rich, just people with like normal lives compared to them.
Yeah.
And she said me and my brothers and the poverty kids would do backflips and kind of all kinds of crazy stuff, jumping into the water with snakes in. We wouldn't even care. We would just be swimming. And there'd be like these other kids from like the nice neighborhoods being like not even wanting to get in the water. And she's like, they would all be scared and be like, "Ooh," and I'm just like, that's crazy how. She's like, and the thing is, like, nothing happened to us. We have so much less fear than they did, you know? And she was just like explaining to me how different views, you know, perspectives of life. And I told her, I was like, Mom, well, that's the thing. This is why we clash so much. Because I'm one of those kids to where I'd be scared to jump in the water, you know?
But in all fairness, though, I feel like... Well, I don't want to take away from the point you're making, but like... And maybe it could be different for me because I am a male. Mm-hmm. But I remember... when I moved to the ranch as a kid, I was like a city boy. Mm-hmm. Like I remember there was all these flies and mosquitoes and I was like, ugh, you know, I was like all sensitive and like worrying if they had diseases and all kinds of stuff. And I remember being like spooked by like the open range, like the mountains and everything, and like thinking like there's mountain lions out there and all that. And before I knew it, within a couple of months, like we would be outside running in tall grass at night, like at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Because you start to learn things. Like, there's only certain regions of the world that, like, certain kinds of snakes come out at night. Mm-hmm. So, like, you start learning what to and not to be scared of. Like, the chances of you finding a snake out at night are not as likely. You know what I mean? It's maybe just in that particular area. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't scared. Maybe there really isn't any logic behind it. Mm-hmm. But I do remember learning a couple of things, like go for snakes and things like that, like things that aren't poisonous. But... again, maybe it could be an aspect of like you making your reality, because a lot of times I didn't know better than to be scared. So I never remember going on hikes being scared of anything. Like I would go on a hike like if I was on a golf course. I didn't feel like, you know, and I never really ran into anything scary or anything like that. But I remember becoming so much more acclimated to it. Like I remember if it rained a lot, like it's raining right now, I would be wet like 6 hours a day. Like we would just be playing airsoft outside in the rain. Like like I made a huge difference in like what I was comfortable with. Yeah. So I think maybe, I don't know, what I was trying to say by that is I think you have that in you, to the ability to bridge that gap. But I also get what you're saying though, like speaking specifically from experience. I
was just trying to kind of paint her a picture, like this is why you don't understand me.
Because we have a different outlook, like, based off different...
the culture I grew up in, you know, it's different here.
For sure.
So, but now moving on to my dad's story, which is interesting. I was always a daddy's girl growing up, always. And I love that one of my nieces like had visited my dad recently, and it's been years since he's seen him. And I want to say like I'm one of her favorite people to talk to, right? And she goes, it's funny, seeing your dad again. I understand more why you're the way you are, because you're just like him. And I was like, I love that. I took that as such a compliment. That's cool. It really warmed my heart. I was like, oh, I love that. Because my dad's really goofy. He's charismatic. He's a people person. He's an easy always joking. Hanging out. Like, he just loves the company. And so one time I was hanging out. This was recent. And correct me if I'm wrong when I tell this story, because you were there when you heard it. So
Oh, right. Yeah.
So my dad was only 19 years old.
Yeah.
And he was in California, and he didn't know any English at the time. So he was just like, I don't know how he ended up here, but he was sleeping in a bush at a 7-Eleven. That was his home at the time.
What he said was they had like a nice little like garden area around it, and on the side of one of the buildings there was like a stretch of hedges where he just slept behind them between the building.
Can you imagine that at 19 years old?
19.
Like I look back thinking I was just a baby.
I was a baby, yeah.
Christ.
You're just a tall teenager. Like this.
And having to go through something like that. So then in a new country, right? Not knowing the language. And he was trying to speak to people who would go customers at the store and asking for work. Not even more money. He's like, do you have work for me? Finally, one guy was kind enough to offer him work. He's like, okay, you know what? I got a job for you. And I don't know necessarily what it was. Maybe construction or something like of the sort, because my dad's a construction worker. And finally, the day was done. And the guy was like, all right, I can take you home. Like, where do you live? And he's like,
No, that didn't come yet.
No?
No. So the first day, your dad said that they were done working and all that, and that the guy just assumed. He just dropped them back off near the 7-Eleven. And so your dad was just like, all right. And then he just went,
to the bush.
but he didn't go to the bush immediately. Like, he was just hanging out. The guy took off, and then he went and settled down. Then, if I remember correctly, your dad said he worked another day, if not two. So it might have been the second or the third day that finally he had worked for the guy, and the guy had more work. And that's when the guy was like, hey, I'll drive you to your place. Yeah,
because it has to be, it sounds weird.
It was
to be
the
like
second or third day that he was
dropping him off at
a
7-Eleven.
Yeah.
So then he's like, you could just drop me off here. He's like, no, let me take you to a place. And he's like, this is my place.
He's like, what are you talking about? Where do you stay? And he goes, you see those hedges over there? He was like, I sleep behind them. Yeah. And he was like, what? And
he's like, why didn't you say anything? Yeah. He's like, well, like, I'm kind of embarrassed, you know? Yeah. Like, what do I say?
How do you bring that up?
Yeah. So then the guy was kind enough to offer him to let him stay at his house, in the garage specifically.
Yeah, no, so I remember your dad was like saying that, like, he just kind of thought about it for a second, standing in front of your dad, and then he was like, give me a second. And then he like walked away from your dad and like made a phone call and like talked to his wife and everything, and was like,
right.
Hey, like, this kid's a hard worker, he's young, like, I want to give him a chance. And that when they came back to their house, that he was moving a bunch of shit in the garage, and your dad was like, let me help you? And then he helped him move some stuff around, and he goes, all right. And then he goes, you can stay right here. Like, basically, like, he pulled out a little cot and everything in the garage for him and made him his own room, moved away his equipment and stuff.
Yeah. And what I like about this story too is that my dad said that he was like sleeping, and I guess the guy had issues with people going in the garage, breaking in and stealing his equipment.
Repeated offenders. It had happened more than once.
And my dad was like, no, this time I was in there, so I was able to scare him away. Like, hey, what the heck are you doing here? And then the guy was like, oh, well, now I got someone to guard my equipment now.
Because he had like cool pieces of equipment, like lawnmowers and expensive things, and they would just come in and take shit sometimes. And I just love how your dad was like, I just remember I was finally falling asleep, and then I hear the car door, the garage door come up, but it's not coming up electrically. And he's like, so I look, and then these motherfuckers crawl from under, and I just go, what's up, guys? And they were like, oh, shit. And they just ran like immediately. Like, they didn't even try to threaten or challenge him. They were just like, oh, shit.
Dang, that's scary.
Yeah.
It was very, like, enlightening to hear. I was like, oh, my gosh. The fact that, like, my dad's gone through something like that, that's, like, something that shaped who he is today.
I think that's one of the reasons why he's such a, like, hard worker and, like why he's been successful too in his own ways with like his business and his career and stuff, because like I think of that kind of situation, and it reminded me, like, my uncle, same thing, Jose Luis. He came without a place to stay with like $10 in his pocket, and like he told me, I think at one point, that he would sleep outside for a bit, and that eventually, he said that he remembers when he first got his own little place to stay inside, and it was literally a shed just big enough to put like a bed in. And then he goes, I knew it wasn't much, but it was mine. And I remember him thinking, you know what I mean? Like, he finally had a place to sleep, and he's like, that's all I needed. Just, you know.
And, like, there was a beautiful ending to the story, because I think my dad, like, he had gotten a house, he had a wife. Well, not my mom.
Oh, yeah. So some time had passed, yeah.
They might as well be married, but, yeah, he had, like, a woman and kids, and he was able to see that guy again and say, like, oh, look, like, I made something of myself. You
Yeah,
know? That's so
your dad
beautiful.
literally said that like the street that you guys lived on ended up being the same neighborhood, and that
That
he was
he
like a
lived in.
block or two
Yeah.
away.
Mm-hmm.
And then he walked over one day and he's like, "Look, bruh, that house is mine. Look at my daughter, my kids, like
That's amazing.
my woman." And
Yeah.
and that the guy was like, "I was always rooting for you. I'm happy to see that you
Aw.
have it now."
Gosh, that one brings tears to my eyes. It just like it almost inspires me to want to help people more, you know?
And how good did
Like-
that guy feel about his investment? Like knowing, like, I knew you were a good hard worker.
You made
I knew
something
you
of
were a
yourself
good
because
person.
of me.
Like I helped, yeah.
And now that makes me grateful for that guy, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Because how different could have stuff been, you know? Maybe your dad wouldn't have had kids as soon because he
Yeah.
couldn't afford to or
Yeah.
whatever, you know?
That's crazy.
Or where else could you have been living because he didn't have that? You know what I mean? Like,
So, and I tell these stories to hopefully inspire people to like learn more about their parents, especially if they were like super hard on you. You'd be surprised too just by hearing your parents out, like how it softens them to
yeah.
help them feel understood and heard and like see where they're coming from, you know? I really do think like it's helped also make me grow closer to my parents. And like it only makes me want to hear more, you know? Like what else have you gone through?
Yeah.
And like I see you and I appreciate you, you know, for everything that you've done for me. Did you want to say anything about your dad? I don't know if you've ever brought him up on my podcast before.
I don't know. Well, so I had a picture of my dad when he was 21 years old in a bar somewhere. And he was like handsome and young, and I remember he wore like this like almost off-white like cream sombrero, and then he had like one of those like almost pearlescent dark green suits on, like the ones that kind of shimmer a different color. And I just remember he was like smiling, sitting at a table with a beer. And so, you know, you start to like develop ideas about people, but also my mom told me a bit about him and said that so according to her, he was like a very charming and charismatic person. Like he had tons of like friends everywhere. Like he was the kind of guy that would go to a bar and be like, "Next round's on me," and everybody would be like, "Rogelio," like they'd see him come in. And then if they put a song on, he would like stand on a bench and sing, and people would sing with him, and like, so a lively guy. But he also had like you know, some questionable decision making when he felt intensely about things. He wasn't the most reasonable person at times, you know.
And you know this through your mom, right?
Yeah, she would just tell me things, you know, like for example, when they were like starting to have distance and like kind of towards the end of their relationship, she had kind of basically told him like, I need space or whatever, and he would like pull up outside of her apartment and just like sleep in his car outside to like, I guess, make sure no men were coming to see her or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like he would just like follow her around, and he was into stuff that would help him stay awake, so you know, that doesn't help you make great decisions either. But yeah, I don't know, he was she always used to tell me that like I just remember her being like, you know how your mom is always like, "Oh, you're adorable, you're cute, you're all that stuff, you're like," they'll tell you you're charming and all that. And whenever she would say stuff like that, she'd be like, "You remind me of your dad." So, which is funny because like to her, I just remind her of my dad and I look so much like my dad. But everybody feels like I look like my mom, you know?
I feel like you do look like your mom. Yeah.
So.
Dang, that's crazy. Okay, so to finally end this off, in this last section is just, I just want to speak on like family dynamics. Because like clearly like we didn't have it easy growing up, and we still have love and respect for our family members. Like I think one of the strongest values we both uphold is that we care deeply about them, and I feel like I'm always trying to be there for them, hear them out, listen. And sometimes I think like I haven't been there as much as I would like to, just lately, you know. I want to make more of an effort to like be there for them and hang out with them, make memories. And sometimes it can be hard because in my family dynamics, I've always felt like I was the one being unheard and overlooked, and I'm trying to practice not being in that position anymore, you know. While I want respect, I want mutual respect.
Yeah.
And I feel like we can have a better relationship if you respect my boundaries, you know? So I'm trying my best to like kind of express myself, and so I want them to hear where I'm coming from as much as I'm hearing them out, you know?
And I feel like you're going about it for like to be full circle, to both develop a better, more intimate relationship with healthy boundaries, but also to get like closure from it. Like the point of bringing things up is to be seen and heard about things, not to make them feel bad or like blame or. It's just like, I just want you to understand where I was coming from and how I felt about this.
Yeah, because like there's been times where I've tried to throw in their face like you did this to me, like how could you? And it never ended in me feeling good about it. Never.
Yeah.
Whenever I see like the sadness and regret in their faces, I'm like, why did I go and do that? Like, what did that solve? What did that teach him? You know?
And the weight on them
to
recognize it and to be like, I can't take that back.
Exactly. And to think like maybe like, oh, did this ruin our relationship?
Like, is this gonna be the reason why she doesn't? We don't have a relationship in adulthood.
But I see it as like the reason that I am who I am today because of it. And I forgive them, and now I want to like continue to build a relationship with them, and that I appreciate them, you know. So another thing that I want to speak on is like chosen family. So although it's like hard and kind of difficult to navigate the relationships with my family today, there's like some that are not so hard to maintain, you know, and that's your chosen family. It's the people you can easily be yourself with. And there are people in my life that I feel like, because they were in my life, helped me become the person I am today as well. They gave me the safe space to be able to express myself and to be able to find peace. I think that's such a beautiful thing. Find peace and to be able to comfort and to really know what family should feel like, you know? So there's
support.
Exactly. So there's definitely people in my life that I feel like I am so lucky and blessed to feel like I have met them, and to like have them open their arms and their hearts out to me, and like and all I want to do is just like reciprocate that. Yeah. You know, I just want them to feel just as loved, and I just want to give
seen
thanks.
And cherished and supported.
Yeah, exactly, and just create beautiful memories together. You know.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. So, this has been such a I feel like this has been a deep episode, you know? I feel like this is definitely going to get people to learn more about us, and to help you guys think like why we think the way we do, and you know, why we are the people we are. So if you like have any stories to share, I would appreciate, you know, you sharing. You know, I hope this helps people feel less alone, you know, especially in like the Hispanic community. I feel like there's a lot of like Latinos out there that, you know, like kind of share similar crazy experiences, and we're like, you know, strict parents. And,
very similar and common themes.
Right? Very. And it's like, and it's so crazy because we talked about this to where like we all kind of present ourselves like we didn't really go through much, but we've all been through a lot, you know?
Yeah, and I don't even feel like it's an intentional thing, but like I feel like that's one of the things we share in common, is that we've had so many people underestimate us or our experiences because of our demeanor. Like, for whatever reason, having a childlike spark to you and being goofy and easygoing, people assume like, oh, he just hasn't suffered enough. Yeah. And it's like,
I actually recently had someone at work say like, I opened up to her and she's like, it's crazy all the things you've been through, and you still come to work with a smile on your face. Like, yeah. And I told her, isn't it crazy? Like, even I'm mind blown at it. Like, yeah. Yeah. So, but, one thing I wanted to put out there is that something I think will be interesting to start is if you guys ever want to anonymously like share any of your experiences to like my email. I'll always put my email in the description below. I will be more than happy to like talk about it, see what our thoughts are on it, and how like we would navigate that situation. So if you guys are open to sharing your stories, I'm more than willing to like hear people out and put it on the podcast and see, you know, how we would go about the situation.
I think it's great because like whether or not we have I don't know, however you want to value it, whether or not we have good or bad advice about it, I feel like just opening a discussion of it, and then it allows like also the environment for people to comment on it too. Mm-hmm. Like, what if people have direct experience with that, or people have made mistakes with that experience? Yep. that can all be shared and
Yeah.
people can think about it, and it just offers more insight for everybody involved, I feel like.
Yep. I feel like, and I like that I'm trying to build a specific audience, because I feel like the people that I'm like building bonds with, new acquaintances or friendships, like I don't think they're necessarily open to telling me a lot of things because they're afraid of hearing the truth. You know? And not everybody's ready to handle that, or to like make the decisions to make a change, because change is scary.
And you have to make that decision yourself.
Have to.
I don't think I've ever seen it work for other people. I mean, people can definitely inspire you to better yourself, but I feel like when it comes to certain tough things, like potentially addictions or stuff like that, it's something that you really have to like, you have to make that decision, you have to acknowledge it.
Yeah. So I guess we would just want to end it with that, you know. If you made it this far, I appreciate you guys for listening, hearing us out, getting to know us a little more. And so thank you for listening. Take care of yourself. Peace out.